Hey fam, welcome to MIKEroaggress'd. Everybody say hello. I'm so excited. I've been looking forward to this all week. You are awesome, dude. But everybody say hello to Brett, the co-host of Pop Culture Crisis.
What is going on, everybody? And what is going on, chat? I see you, chat. I'm paying attention. I see what's going on over there. What is going on, everybody?
I think they're just shocked to see me starting on time for once.
Oh yeah, dude. That's one of the hard so for us, like one of the weirdest things is like when I would go do like other shows, they'd be like, yeah, we'll start at like roughly 8. I'm like, bro, when like if we don't hit go at 3 every day, somebody immediately goes late. Like we got to start on the dot every day, or people get pissed.
Yeah, I'm trying to get better about that. I'm not the most punctual person. I'm a little bit train wrecky, so yeah. I'm working on that. But hey to our friends, Trina, Grifty, Saw, Chris, everybody, glad to have you here. Brett, how you doing? So we were just saying how like nobody really gives a damn when they say how are you, but I do. So how are you actually?
It's one of those things, right? I'm kind of one of those people. I enjoy the middle tier. Like if nothing's going wrong, then everything's going right. And right now, work is steady and life is steady. And I like the weather out here on the East Coast because it's not as cold as Minnesota. So it's good. It's good.
Really? See, I'm so happy to get away from East Coast weather. I guess I technically
now, right?
am. Yeah, but
Florida
I came
now?
from New York, and I see pictures of my friends there in the snow and miserable, and I'm like, sucks for you guys.
It's got to be a big because like, were you living in New York City or like upstate New York? New York City?
No, I've only ever I'm from there. I've only ever lived in the city.
Okay, so like, what are winters like there? I thought that it was different because the buildings, like, does it have to do with like the elevation of the buildings? Does something with the wind? Do you get a lot of snow in? Do you get a lot of snow in the city there?
A good amount. I mean, not like Minnesota snow, but yeah, maybe it's because the water's right nearby. It's just always cold as hell. Where are you from originally?
I'm from St. Paul, Minnesota. So like I basically
cold.
Yeah, like I grew up I'm actually from a suburb called Woodbury, which is basically like 10 minutes from Wisconsin, 20 minutes from St. Paul. So you go east and you end up in Wisconsin, you go west, you end up back in St. Paul, Minnesota. But the thing is like there's areas of Minnesota that are even colder, like up north. Like if you go up to Duluth, which is on the water, it's really, really cold up there in the winter. So but out here, like the coldest it was getting, I'm in Maryland now, but the coldest it gets, it's like in the 30s. I'm like t-shirt weather, baby. Let's freaking do it. I can take 30 all day long. I can take 30 all day long.
Torture. Saw says, I actually just noticed this today. They're like, can we trust Brett because PCC backwards is CCP?
We say that all the time. We point that out on the show. Can you trust us? You'll have to make that decision for yourself. We encourage you to think for yourself and decide whether you can trust us. However, there is like, if you look at the, like we have a 4-chair setup on our show, right? So I'm here, Mary's directly across from me, and then we have a left chair and a right chair. Now, we usually seat guests in the right chair because it's to the right of my eye line, which is where I have all the monitors and everything set up. But if you're in the left chair, we've got a PCC Live, like 2 signs below it that say PCC Live. And if you're like, so sometimes Mary's had to do like Zoom calls, and like if you're doing a Zoom call and you're using your computer monitor, it flips the image. So what it says is CCP evil, which is...
And that wasn't even intentional. Like you guys should have just called the show that.
That we should have. It would have been better.
Leah is here. I love you. I hope you're doing well, my darling. So Brett, tell me, I want to know, what is your villain origin story? How did you get here? How did you get involved in all this? How did you become the person that you are?
My villain origin story is actually more of a case of redemption, which is basically like, so what's funny is you posted a skating clip in there that I applauded that. That was really funny. So I've been skating for about 25 years, and that's really what I've done with all of my time. I went to school for like television production and stuff like that, but I never utilized my degree like a lot of kids who went to school in the mid 2000s and stuff like that. And basically when I got sober in 2013, and then again I had a relapse at like the end of 2018 and got sober again. And I started going through this period of time where I was skating and posting clips every day on Instagram, a full 1 minute edit every day. So while doing that with work, I was working like maintenance at an apartment complex and then skating every day. And Tim, who also skates, just happened to cross my content and asked me if I wanted to come out to do stuff for the vlog that they were doing. That vlog is now something very different. They do skits and scripted content, but at that time it was more of like slice of life. This is what goes on at Timcast, and I got hired to skate and also do camera work for the show because that was where my skill set was. But like a couple months into the show, like they realized that they didn't need two cameramen most of the time, and I would be ranting all the time about really obscure facts about like the X-Files, and Tim basically said, you should talk about this for a living.
That's funny. My friend Cody right here has been trying to get me to watch the X-Files forever.
You should absolutely watch the X-Files. And at the very least, one of the great things about watching the X-Files is you will see, for as much as they talk about strong female characters, you will see one of the greatest female characters that's ever been written in Dana Scully. And it's done in a way that is so unbelievably balanced with both feminine nature as well as a professional aspect and stuff like that. Anybody who's in the chat, or if you're watching us on the replay, I do recommend going and checking out the X-Files. At the very least, the first 6 to 7 seasons. You could probably stop at 6.
Yeah, see, that's the thing, is that oddly enough, from the pre-woke era, even all of my favorite characters in film and TV are all women. Sydney Prescott, Beatrix Kiddo, Clarice Starling, Ripley.
I feel like
but not
Sydney doesn't get nearly enough love. Everyone mentions
I love you.
Ripley,
I love you.
but it's like when you think about Sydney, and what I find funny about it is like that trope of just how many characters die in horror movies. And horror wasn't really ever my genre, but Sydney is just one of those characters where she kind of was, in a lot of ways, for as emotional as she would get in the traumatic parts, a pretty stoic character. Like, not in a bad way. And like in a way that if they did her as stoic now, it would come across as robotic or poorly written, but she was very stoic in the face of a lot of really, like the only real outcome for all of that stuff is like, it's funny because I think about it and I'm like, the best way to end the series would be for her to become the bad guy, because how can you go through 7 movies of this stuff happening without that? But I don't want them to do that.
No, well, that's what I think made all of these pre-woke female characters so great, is that they were distinct. Even if they were tough or badass or whatever, they were still distinctly female. Like Beatrix Kiddo was a mother and could compartmentalize and be emotional. These characters that they write now are just, they're writing women like they're men. Like they're just nothing but stoic. Like Ray, for example, has no character traits. There are no female qualities to her.
TV always did in my opinion, TV always did female characters better than male characters, because when they would put them in male jobs, like if they make them cops or they make them lawyers and stuff like that, what it would usually be is that they're very good at their job, but their home life is kind of a wreck. And they would lean into the stuff, their love life is crap. They can't get along with their parents and stuff like that. And that's all very real, right? Like when you watch a show like that, their credentials should be pretty set in stone depending on the story, right? She's good at her job. She's a detective. So we'll look past the fact that she's 5 feet tall. I can suspend my disbelief for the most part, right? Like she's a lawyer. She's a prosecutor. She's this, that. You expect that to be baked in, but where does the conflict come in, right? So the conflict would come in the choices that she makes in her private life. And that type of vulnerability, the ability to show a character who's very good at what she does, but doesn't always make the best decisions in her private life, I think that resonates with a lot of people.
Yeah, and especially because it's a flaw. These female characters now are perfect. They are flawless. There's no hero's journey for them to go on because there's nothing they learn along the way. They're already perfect from the first scene.
I saw somebody mention the little person from NCIS. I don't know if they're talking about Meredith Eaton, who did a couple of episodes of NCIS. She actually is someone of below average size. She's a very, very accomplished actress. But I don't know if that's what they're talking about. But I'm a huge at least the first 10 seasons of NCIS. I am the biggest proponent of just the old school like episodic television. What they've lost the art to do is they don't know how to just do 45 minutes of good television anymore. I don't need 15 episodes to tell a story. I want you to tell me one episode that's really, really good.
Was that the one with the gothy chick?
Yeah, that was Polly Perrette who played her.
Yeah, I remember hearing she's a crazy bitch.
Oh yeah. I've seen those stories. I try to like if it's he said she said stuff, like I try to not pay it too much attention. But with those characters, somebody said yes, it was Meredith Eaton. Yeah, Meredith Eaton was great. She ends up playing she ended up playing like the head of like a Black Ops unit in the MacGyver reboot, which was I love, even though it's not really all that good. But I digress.
Rob said, I trust Brett more than I trust the zombie Nosferatu twink next to you. Thanks, Rob.
Fair enough.
Yeah, though I think it's interesting how for all the talk about diversity and all of this in movies, they've made diverse or female characters exponentially worse.
I think it's one of the things that I think gets misinterpreted. Now, I do think that's a problem. One of the things that I think is an issue isn't so much that it's that the male characters that they tend to be tearing down are no longer written as three-dimensional beings. Now, this is what I mean. I watch a lot of old television, and I've been going off on a tangent on our show lately whenever I can. I'm watching this old procedural from 1999 called Third Watch, and it was basically about the lives
I remember that.
Firefighters, ESU, and cops in New York City pre 9/11 and then through 9/11. And the great thing about this show is like there's a character named Boscarelli. They call him Bosco, and he says some pretty heinous stuff about a lot of like he's kind of mean to he's mean to people of different ethnicities. He's mean to people of different sexual orientations. But when it comes down to it, he's just like, I just don't like anyone. He's like, I really don't like a whole lot of people.
That's me.
When it comes down to it, he doesn't pick and choose who he supports, and when his job requires it, he will help whoever needs to be helped because he has a strong sense of justice, and he doesn't allow his personal feelings or his anger to prevent him from doing his job. And the great thing was, back in the day, they could write a character with those types of flaws, but still give them redeeming qualities, which feels very real, because that's how the real world is, right? A lot of people, they say, don't meet your heroes. Like a lot of people who have done a lot of great things in the world aren't necessarily always going to have the best views. And nowadays, it's not what they do. Now they write any person who has a racist view or a sexist view or a homophobic view. They're just that. And then they're comically stupid and comically bad at their job, and they have to be put in their place. That's boring. I want you to show me the character who's kind of an asshole, who treats people poorly, but who has characteristics about him that give him a reason to be in this show or in this movie. Make them more than just one thing. And the problem is they don't know, either they don't know how to do it anymore, or they've just given up on trying.
I think it's just part of the overall agenda they want to push. That's how they see things. And even in those sort of older films or shows, when they would address these things, like Silence of the Lambs, for example, it would make sense that being the only woman in the FBI, that there would be sexism.
Back then,
but they don't beat you over the head with it. They put you in her shoes and let you experience it. And it's subtle. It's a look. It's a feeling that you experience with her. Whereas now it would just be like, hey, sugar tits.
Yes, exactly.
They'd be like going up, grabbing her ass.
Yeah. Yep. And I think part of the reason that is because the writers of today, most writers tend to be a product of their time, right? So because these are large scale cultural issues now, it takes up more of the screen time than it would back then. These wouldn't have been things that would have been discussed very often before. And the beauty of it was you had a balance. So you lived in a time period that was a more conservative world, but you had Hollywood writers that had very progressive or liberal ideals. And you get a film financier and an editor who understands balance, and you get a writer with progressive viewpoints, and you find a middle ground, yes. Right? You find a mixture right there. And what you get is balanced storytelling. Whereas now the leftists tend to be in charge of both the financing and the writing, and there's nobody telling them no. One of the reasons I don't even like when they use the term woke anymore is because the idea that something's anti-woke, they've been saying this about a lot of people are upset about the new Ghostbusters because some say that there's queer baiting in the film. Other people are mad that there's some sexual references in the film, whatever. And they're saying, I thought this film was supposed to be anti-woke. I said, that's your problem. You're assuming that here's my problem with that term. The problem is like, you're assuming that whoever went out and made this film went out with that intention in their mind. That's not how they think in Hollywood. When they make a good movie, oftentimes it's by accident. It's not because, like, you'll get it with the good directors, right? A good director or a good writer can balance those ideas. But most of the time, if somebody without a strong track record puts together a film that comes across that way, it's not usually because they're really, really good unless they have a track record that proves it. It's because the writers in them got a little bit lucky. I really do believe that a lot of the time. So when you see those things creep back into the story, it's because it was always going to end up back there. So labeling things that way, you're kind of just setting yourself up for disappointment.
Yeah, and I would just say that an anti-woke movie is a good movie. It's just a complex story. Because people constantly misuse the term woke when it comes to movies. And some of these people who are
I don't like that term at all because it's amorphous. I don't know what it means. Like anybody who tells you they know the meaning, just you could ask 50 different people and get 50 different definitions to what that means, right? I still prefer to use the term progressivism, right? Because the ideals of progressivism tend to fall in line with that, but those aren't the only characteristics of it. But it's the closest that I've found to what it is. And when it comes to the writing today, it's sad because it's almost like they unlearned everything that they had spent the last however many decades building. And now with streaming being the way it is, like there isn't an incentive to make things that have strong audience response because they get paid up front. They're not looking at high residuals because of the streaming model, though that has changed a little bit with the most recent SAG strike and the changes that were made to the model as far as the royalty scale. But for the most part, they get paid up front. And then whatever they make is what they make, right? Back in the day when you made something, so if you do 22 episodes of a show, right? And you start making episodes, however many blocks at a time, you have a mid-season finale, the writers can gauge audience response. And if a character is becoming more popular, that character starts to get more screen time as the show goes on. So they were actually listening to the fans, right? And now when everything gets made in one chunk, you don't get that. You get, this is our story, and there's no chance for the crowd to actually be heard.
Yeah, I feel like the term woke was kind of useful for a time to be able to have a definition, to be able to have language to assign to it, but people constantly misuse it. They just associate it with anything. For me, my definition in film or TV of woke is basically they replace story with ideology and character with identity.
Yep. Yeah, and look, there's like one of my favorite shows of all time is Buffy the Vampire Slayer, which has strong feminist tones to it.
I just lined up I've never seen it.
Watch it. It's fantastic.
That's kind of next up on my list.
If you want to see an idea of how they lost the ability to write, I want you to watch Buffy and pay attention to the Xander character, who ostensibly in the early seasons, he has no strong skill set. He has no reason to be so close to these people who are doing all of these things, but he's never talked down to in an ostracized way, and he's treated as part of this group, despite the fact that Buffy is essentially like, she has plot armor and she's essentially invincible and all that stuff. It was done really, really well, and Hollywood can do feminist stories. There was another show, oddly enough, another Joss Whedon show called Dollhouse, which was only on for 2 seasons, and there is strong feminist messaging for her character there, but it's not. It doesn't take over the fact that what you're watching is just a generally fun science fiction show.
By the way, I have to I just have to point, the horror nerd Scream fan of me has to point this out from Leah. Is it just me, or does Brett look and sound like Dewey Riley?
No,
that is the ultimate compliment.
Please, so does that mean I was married to Courtney Cox at one point in my life? That's fantastic.
I mean, that was like 10 faces ago for Courtney.
I got a question for you then. Of all of the Scream movies, which reveal do you think was the best?
4.
We can
Four.
put the spoiler alert up.
Yeah, spoilers, y'all.
Okay,
4.
I have a few problems. I have a few problems with the 4th one. Mainly the size of Emma Roberts as opposed to the size of Ghostface.
Well, that was worse in 5 when they had this like
I still believe, in my opinion, one of the greatest things ever. Okay, so if you look at the difference between Scream 1 and Scream 2, in Scream 1, when, again, I'm going to do spoiler alerts for anybody who does this here.
I'm just so glad you're a horror fan. I'm so happy right now.
I'm not even a super big horror fan. It was from my childhood, right? So I was just a fan of Scream at the time. So when the reveal happens in part 1, and he does and you hear Stu go like, surprise Sydney with the voice changer, right? Here's the thing. They did it with the actual really, really poorly designed voice changer, which sounds nothing like the voice that Roger L. Jackson does on the phone. And then in Scream 2, right, when Timothy Oliphant does it, they dub in the audio of Roger L. Jackson's voice, and it's way better. But I feel like if they had gone through and they had actually done that when he does it in Scream 1, but you can't beat that first reveal in Scream 1 just because when he turns up and you're looking and she's looking up at Stu and he pulls out the voice changer. I just love that. But I love the one in Scream 2 because I actually think I saw 2 before I saw 1 when I was young. So I saw them in reverse order.
Yeah, for me, I put the first one a little bit separately because it's just a flawless, perfect movie.
It really
the rest,
is.
I love them, but basically for me, there's 1, 2, 3, and 4, and then there's the newer ones. And the newer ones, they're enjoyable, but I have such a deep
I stopped
issue.
at 5. I stopped at 5. Like 6, I really, what's really funny is I think 4 was onto something, but came out a couple years too early with its commentary on internet fame and technology. But it was like 2011, and we were in such a ridiculously like in between time as far as technology goes. People didn't all have iPhones. You could carry a camera around with you, but it wasn't really like the idea that they were like, they had to film these murders, but not live stream them because my God, the bandwidth it would have taken to do something like that. Like, I feel like if they had waited 3 or 4 years, of course, that wouldn't have been possible, I think, because Wes Craven, unfortunately, I think he passed away not that long after.
What a difference too in the new ones. Yeah, the new ones are enjoyable, but I just have such a problem with the fact that the original was really pushing back against the moral panic of the day, which was movies are going to turn kids into serial killers. What I hate so much is that the new ones take a position where they take the side of today's moral panic that toxic fans are going to go out and kill people. And the movie sort of takes the side of that instead of doing anything challenging.
There's a song by Birdbrain in the original movie called Youth of America, which was very indicative of the time period, right? Like, it was very indicative of that time period when they were pushing back on the culture, and Hollywood is willing to do that. Also, nowadays, satire is just done more frequently and less well.
Yeah. Satire is now basically just
that type of
quips.
Meta satire, right? It's just not done nearly as well. I do laugh because I look at them and like, as always, nobody looks like a high schooler. Like, they've all got 5 o'clock shadow and they all look like they're in their mid-20s. But I love it, and I love that film. Also, guys, if you want to know the smartest character in any horror movie that's ever existed is in Scream 2, and that's Joel. That is Joel,
the smartest.
Who is the cameraman who just leaves. He's like, people are dying. I'm out of here. He's the smartest character that's ever existed in a horror movie. Put an ocean between you and the town if you can.
He is the ultimate final girl.
And then he comes back at the end. He goes, I thought we could go back and start recording like the old days.
And he's even smarter because he gets his job back once the killers are dead and there's no more murder.
He's like, oh, she needs a cameraman now, of course. I'm back.
Sorry, parentheses. Let me catch up on the chat real quick. I have to say hello to my dad. Hi, Dad. Thanks for being in the chat. Love you. Let me catch up on people. Earthbull says watch Charmed. I've never seen that one either.
I've still never. There's a couple of. There's a lot of shows that I've put off watching just because they're so loved. that I just haven't gotten around to. Like, I've only seen one season of The Sopranos. I haven't watched it the whole way through. I haven't watched Charmed. I haven't watched there's a bunch of them that I still need to get through. But the problem is, like, the more a show is revered and like loved afterwards, then you kind of go into it with expectations, and you have to kind of find your way through it.
Yeah, I think The Sopranos, it's great, but I think it might fall victim to that a little bit. Burner Popcorn Account says, super exciting to have a Mike Brett collab. I've been so excited for this. This is amazing. MikeyHarlow, 10 out of 10, best Florida trips. Oh, thank you.
What part of Florida are you in?
So for right now, I'm in Orlando, but it's a little bit temporary. That I'm kind of looking at different areas and looking where I want to end up. I want to check out St. Pete.
I see the card says no Sopranos, whatever, no channel. It says turn in your culture credit card. I'm more of a fan of The Wire, personally.
I've never seen it. See, that's my Sopranos that I haven't seen.
The Wire is, if you want to see a show that doesn't make explicit remarks about the dangers of politics, but you see the indifference and selfishness of how greedy politicians and crooked cops and the drug war, I really do recommend everyone go and watch The Wire. It is a fantastic show.
Rob said, oh, here we go with The Wire. I don't know if that's good or bad, but Burner Popcorn counts as was literally watching Pop Culture Crisis earlier, and she loves you and Mary.
Thank you, and thank you for watching.
She wants to know, by the way, parentheses, as you guys know, I am an aspiring grifter, so send in your super chats, become a channel member, join my locals, help me. I am aiming to go full-time grifter.
That's one of those terms where I laugh, because like when people use that term, I actually have kind of a problem with it, because it's like the idea that you could know what someone because when you're saying that they don't believe what they're saying, right? And that means that you know what's in somebody else's heart. And I kind of have an issue with that. Like,
no, me too. Well, and the fact that like 99.9% of people who speak up their views that aren't leftist only lose money because of it. So yeah, I agree, but I've just kind of turned it around on them. I'm like, all right, you want to call me a grifter? I'll be the best grifter I can be. Burner Popcorn account wants to know, Brett, did you ever get to meet Tiffany Gomez? Your crazy you had a crush on the Crazy Plane Lady?
Well, you know, who didn't have a crush on the Crazy Plane?
No,
I did not get to meet Tiffany Gomez, though I did see she's been going off on Twitter lately talking about like all of the people who like all the weird messages she's gotten. I'm sure she's gotten some weird shit too. I did send her like a formal email to try and get her on the show, but we weren't able to do that. Would have been cool though. I love stories like that because they're so uniquely part of the internet age that if you tried to explain that to an alien, you wouldn't be able to.
No, it's one of those things that you would just never know about if you weren't on the internet. There's no point to it or nothing. Tame the Watcher says, if you want a good classic TV show to watch, Columbo. Oh, I used to watch that with my dad. My dad loves Columbo. Yeah. Yep. Hey, DeVille. Thank you so much for the super chat, my darling. Haven't seen you in a bit. Hey, Mikey. Hey, DeVille. We're just catching up on the chat. Rob says, if you're in a room with someone who's seen The Wire, they'll immediately tell you how good it is. That is true. Yep. But is it that good? It's like vegan TV mentality. It is that. It kind of is, yeah, in a lot of ways. Like, there's a lot of shows. I think everybody's got like one show like that they like to. What it is for me is I have my brain is just always so cooked. It feels like that I go through phases. Like right now, I'm telling everyone how much I love Third Watch, and before that, it's The Wire. Or I will go on and on about how House was one of the best written TV shows of all time, but will turn you into a nihilist and all of these things. I've got dozens of shows that I love for different reasons. My personal favorite show of all time, if you watch our show, you understand it's a show called Person of Interest, which was a Jonathan Nolan show from 2011 talking about the creation of a piece of artificial intelligence that can stop terrorists before they act. And the concept of the show started off as a bit of a procedural, but turned into a legit science fiction crime drama that really did talk about the ethics of artificial intelligence, the ethics of government overreach, and all of these things. They were talking about NSA, like the NSA scandal 2 years before, like they were talking about the NSA and overreach 2 years before Snowden even happened. Like we're talking early in season 1. I recommend everyone go check that one out. If I didn't suggest to you to go watch The Wire, I would tell you to go watch Person of Interest. You know what? I was rewatching, and I'm going to sound like a middle-aged wine mom, but it was so good. The first couple seasons were so good. Ally McBeal.
I've never seen it.
People forget that show. It was the most politically incorrect. There's an episode where she kicks a midget. Like every episode was more politically incorrect than the next. And so I heard they're considering doing a reboot, of course, race swapping. And I'm like, they don't get what the show was.
If you're looking for a law show, one that I found like last year that I'd never seen before was Boston Legal with William Shatner.
Okay, I have mixed feelings on that because that was a spinoff of my favorite show of all time, The Practice.
The Practice, yeah.
Did you ever
Dylan
see
McDermott, right? Yeah, I've seen it, but not the whole thing. But yeah, I saw The Practice. I really like Boston Legal because I'm a big fan of James Spader and William Shatner, and that was one of those shows where really what you get is in that show, James Spader plays a New York liberal. And William Shatner plays like a Fox News Republican conservative, and they're both kind of allowed to be their characters, and they're not treated as one being better than the other.
Yeah. You would love, if nothing else, watch the last season of The Practice because that was basically Boston Legal, except like a much darker version. That's why I like Boston Legal, but I'm a little iffy on it because The Practice was really dark and ambiguous. So I had a little bit of a problem with them making it
very early Kerry Washington in Boston Legal. We're talking like long before she found the show Scandal and all that stuff.
They had on, so the last season of The Practice was basically Boston Legal. They had, what was her name? Rebecca De Mornay. But like later era Rebecca De Mornay, she is on my exception list. That is a handsome woman, I must say.
Somebody says James Spader's best acting work is in The Blacklist. Yeah, The Blacklist is really, really good too. I kind of gave up the storyline with him, and it just got so damn complicated in the later seasons, and it kind of lost it. Like I really liked it up through season 3 or 4, but that show's been on for like 10 seasons now.
I've been wanting to watch this because it's the same writer as The Practice and Ally McBeal in Boston Legal.
What's his name?
David E. Kelly.
David E. Kelly. The Blacklist isn't David E. Kelly. Oh, what is it? Goliath.
Goliath, yeah.
Goliath, okay.
Yeah, I've been meaning to watch that for a while.
David E. Kelly he basically writes a lot of law shows, right? And what's funny about that is like when they were talking about making She-Hulk, they talked about how they tried to write courtroom scenes and realized that none of them knew how to do it because they didn't know how to write it. I was like, why didn't you just hire David E. Kelly to write the courtroom scenes?
Because then it might be watchable or something.
Yes,
we can't have that. We can't have that. What I want to ask you to go back, we were talking about Scream. So I'm sure, I remember you guys covered it, Melissa Barrera getting fired from Scream 7. I think that's so interesting because I'm completely against it in one sense. Like in a free country, we are allowed to have different opinions. I don't like to see, even if I completely disagree with her and think she's delusional, I don't like to see anybody getting fired for expressing an opinion. However, leftists, you made this bed. This was a culture of your creation, so enjoy lying in it.
Yeah, I'm the principled conservative, I suppose. And granted, I don't consider myself a conservative, but the principled conservative would say that she has a right to her freedom of speech, and I agree. As somebody who I would rather have seen them keep her on, but like you said, a lot of them, especially the next generation of Hollywood, we're going to see a lot more of this because what's been going on is. So progressive Hollywood has always known who the enemy is, right? They've known the enemy is conservative media. They know the enemy to them is a lot of ways flyover America and the people they can label as istphobes and bigots, despite the fact that they haven't talked to anyone from that part of the world since they either left home or went home for Christmas or something like that. But now with Israel and Palestine being such a big issue, Hollywood doesn't know how to act because there is a lot of support for Israel in Hollywood, as we all know. But the modern day Hollywood celebrity has been so entrenched in Marxist progressivist thinking that they are on the side of Palestine. And one of my favorite things about these topics is like when it comes to this conflict, I just go, bro, I don't know. This has been going on since well before I was alive. Yep. Leave me the fuck out of it.
Thank you. Bro. I'm at the point. I'm at the point where as soon as people start talking about other countries, I just tune out. I'm like, I don't care. Like I'm trying to pay rent and afford groceries and all of that.
Like, so I would prefer they talk about, America first, but since that's not really an option, I would rather they had let her kept her job. But selfishly, I don't think without the loss of her and Jenna Ortega, I don't think they would have had the money to get You know, Nev Campbell back.
Exactly. I'm like, see, I'm like, I felt principled at the beginning. Oh, I don't think she should be fired. But as long as Nev Campbell gets to be the main character, I'm like, the hell with the Hamas hope.
Yeah. It's great to have her back, and she's she's another one. She's the one. Was she in Party of Five, or was she in Melrose Place?
She's Party of Five. I never watched it though.
I didn't watch it. Like that's I go through now and I watch a lot of old television shows. I'm not even kidding you. One of the most fun shows I've had watching in a long time. Old episodes of a show called Everwood, which was like this family drama.
I remember that
with like Treat Williams and like a very young Chris Pratt from like the early 2000s. And like in this show, he's kind of like a New York City doctor who moves to a small town, and there's this dickhead stuck up like conservative doctor who lives in town, but they become friends. And it's like, this is what I want. This is what I want for my television.
No, they would never do that now. They can't, humanize the bad people.
Nope.
Oh, The Craft. Remember The Craft?
Like that's The Craft is like The Crow, something I haven't seen in a very, very long time.
Oh, it was great. They did or I thought you were going to say that they did shitty reboots of both.
Yeah, they did. They did. Well, the shitty reboot of The Crow is coming out soon, but I don't really have any desire to go watch it.
No, it looks terrible. I just saw. Have you seen? I just went to go see the other night, Late Night with the Devil.
I have not seen it. I do love David Dastmalchian.
It was great.
I love that actor. That's one of those actors who's he's kind of born to play uncomfortable bad guys or uncomfortable characters. He was actually in The Dark Knight as the guy who shoots at like when they're doing the 21 gun salute at the funeral. He takes a shot at the podium, and then Harvey Dent takes him basically hostage and tries to get information out of him.
Yeah.
That's that actor.
Oh, I didn't realize that.
Yep. He's been around a long time. He's really, really good.
Yeah, it was great though. It was very unique to see a movie nowadays that it felt like watching a stage play. It was just very, I feel like they don't really come out with movies like that so much now.
There's been a lot of controversy around that film because the art nerds are mad at it because it used a couple of AI images in the film.
It's literally like 2 frames. It's so stupid.
What they said.
Which, I don't like AI art. I think it's theft from actual artists. However, it's 2 frames. I mean, how about go after Marvel for doing it? Go after Disney. Go after, I think it's so misplaced.
The other thing is like, look, very recently, Tyler Perry, the movie producer, actor, Tyler Perry, Medea, all that stuff. He basically released a statement. He put a $800 million studio expansion on hold when he saw these most recent examples of what Sora can do. And I said, the sad thing is like my opinions on AI are. I'm like, look, you're going to have to adapt. They're going to have to adapt. So what's going to happen is a lot of these people is they're going to have to learn how to utilize these programs. And the people who are the best suited to do so are going to keep their jobs. But who's going to lose work right off the bat? The people who are going to lose work is the people who do helicopter shoots, the ones who get you establishing shots, stuff like that. And they're going to look for a cheaper, easier way out of it. And they're always going to find it, right? My issue with CGI these days is more the issue that there's less planning that goes into it. I watch so many old movies and the CGI is just infinitely better because it was actually shot on physical location, and then the CGI is then painted over it. Whereas now they just do it in large green screen warehouses. So everything is it's all in focus and there's no depth of field. It's why Dune worked so well, because they actually shot with focus and aperture in mind. So your foreground is your foreground, and it's very, very diluted down and much more distinguishable or indistinguishable depending on the focal length of the lens. So it all looks like it was planned ahead of time in storyboarding. When Marvel just dumped something on screen, it looks like Kevin Feige just puked a bunch of CGI vomit onto a screen, and then that's what you get.
It's awful. But also my other modern movie pet peeve is, if you notice, everything is filmed in close-up because they don't want to spring anymore for sets or storyboarding or cinematography or extras or anything. Everything. Scream 5 was the worst at that. Everything is just close-up.
Was that? I'm guessing that was that before Scream 6 was COVID, right?
5 was.
Okay, so that might have been a stylistic choice to get away with having to do a 2-shot where they're in the same frame.
Yeah.
And then you risk masks and everything like that. That could have been a decision on their part to do that. What's funny is, like, when done right, the use of extreme close-ups actually serves a purpose. So there was a show, an Eric McCormick show that came out on Netflix like 5 years ago called Travelers. And it was it's a very bland sci-fi show. I liked it a fair amount, but at the time Netflix was just starting to invest in their originals. And one of the hallmarks of the show is very, very disconcerting close-ups of various characters to build tension and make you feel uncomfortable with what you're watching. And that's a style and that's a choice. And in that show, it's timed with the music, which is designed to also make you feel uncomfortable and also keep you feeling as if you're on your toes, right? Whereas now, if they're doing it just to be able to save money, that's very, very different.
At least that's purposeful. But another one that was horrible with that was they did the Mean Girls remake. Oh, that was the worst thing I've ever seen. Did you see? I'm sure you.
Yeah, we saw it. We saw it. Yeah, we saw it. Yeah, we had to review it. I can only like the original because me and Lindsay Lohan are birthday twins. We were born on the same day and in the same year. So,
by the way, I have to hit this comment up. I heard there was going to be a spinoff called Law and Order Haiti, but the police grilling scenes hit completely different.
Yeah.
Did you guys know there was supposed to be? I guess they didn't end up making it, but they had announced there was supposed to be a Law and Order spinoff, Law and Order Hate Crimes. I wish they would have made that. What would it have been like? 3:00 Tuesday afternoon. A gender has been assumed.
I like the idea. What it is, it should be like a whole montage of all the people who draw the swastika wrong when they're tagging someone's house.
And then it's a road sign.
Yes, exactly. Like, do that. Look, and as far as I'm concerned, hot take: Law and Order, Criminal Intent, the best of all the Law and Orders. I don't give a crap about SVU. That was the one with Vincent D'Onofrio and Catherine Irbe.
Was that where he's a psychic?
No, basically it's like that was a show called The Mentalist with Simon Baker. No, it's basically like NIMBY people in uptown New York are all committing crimes, and it was good. It was a lot of fun.
Yeah, that show would have just been White People Suck, the TV series.
It literally is that. It literally.
That's kind of every other show.
The hate crime show was that basically. Yeah, or would be that.
Ooh, Ramiro is gonna fight you. Criminal Intent was so boring though.
It depends on your some people would rather keep the perspective on the protagonist, but in Criminal Intent, the whole point is that you see a lot of it from the antagonist point of view. So it's like there's less mystery. You know who committed the crime the whole episode, and then you have to watch them figure it out.
Ooh, Burner Popcorn, thank you so much, my love, for the super chat. She says, Brett, please tell Tim to lay off Drea Di Matteo. Yes, she's doing OnlyFans, but Drea is based. Alienating her is a mistake. She has shown courage speaking out. So I'm behind on this story. What? So she's an OnlyFans hoe now? That's kind of disappointing.
She's from The Sopranos. Yeah, she's on OnlyFans. My opinion on this is I'm very libertarian with all these things. I don't really care if you do that stuff. And Tim's comment, my point would be, if you read Tim's comment and then you read her response clearly shows that his very, very banal comment really hit a nerve with her. And I don't know if you can pull it up right there, but basically he said that women choosing online prostitution over having a career is not the path I thought feminism would go. And look, I don't know.
Ooh, there's more. Ooh,
there's a lot. There's a lot.
Wait, let me try to. How do I
look? Here's the thing. The better choice. I think the better response, she had a very upset response. But I think the better thing would say is like, look, let me come on the culture war with you and talk about this issue, and I can give you my side of the story and talk about why it is the way it is.
So he said women deciding to be hookers instead of having jobs and arc. I didn't expect feminism to take. Well, I'm glad Tim Cass clarified that I'm a hooker and she's a cunt. Keep saving America with your big influential platform by taking cheap shots at struggling single moms. Tough guy, super cool skater shit, bro. The hooker of Hollywood. Yeah, you're right. You can tell.
Well, there's an even longer response that she gave after that. And look, he hit a nerve, and that she's entitled to her opinion. But I think the better option would have been to just ignore it, I guess, and respond or talk about, say, let's go on Culture War and talk about this issue. She makes a point where she says, why do you care about OnlyFans? She says, I don't know if you can pull this stuff up there. We actually talked about it on the show today. And she says, with all of the issues facing America, why would you care about OnlyFans? Well, here's the thing. First of all, Tim's not a conservative, though they label him as a conservative, but a lot of conservatives do have an issue with OnlyFans and do believe that it's an important thing to talk about. I don't see it that way, but for instance, my co-host, Mary cares a lot about that, and she wants to talk about it, and I don't think there's a problem with that. I would have rather seen them get together and have a discussion about this rather than fight about it online.
They should do that if she's willing. But yeah, I'm somewhere in the middle that I agree with you. People are free to do whatever they want, but I don't think we should pretend like it's a great thing.
And I understand, they're saying that she was like, she had like $10 to her bank account and she was going to lose her house and all that stuff. Is the issue the terminology is the issue calling it online prostitution? Is the issue calling it
is though
booking? If the issue is terminology, then have that debate with them. But otherwise, if the terminology doesn't bother you, now Leah McSweeney is her name. I think she ended up coming to Drea's defense as well and said don't call my friend Drea a hooker. And then she goes, not that there's anything wrong with that. So it's if there's nothing wrong with that, why would you?
Full of shit. She was the most anti-leftist person, wrote all these articles defending Jordan Peterson, all that, and then she got cast on a reality show and was suddenly woker than that. You guys have to see, she was on the Real Housewives, and it was the most bad acting performance I've ever seen. That there was a whole thing where she saw someone had tiki torches in their backyard and she breaks them and is throwing them, and she's like, I can't see them, I'm triggered by them, I just really hate Nazis, I really hate Nazis. What a courageous stance.
I wonder if they made her do that. So the comment down at the bottom says she found Tim's comments unnecessarily mean and unwarranted. Okay, well, what decides that, right? I thought his comments were more analytical than anything. And one of the things I found interesting, I was having this discussion with someone. I said, because it seems like the label is the problem, right? They don't want to take the label because from what I understand, she doesn't have sex on the channel. She just does lingerie photos and stuff like that. Fine. But it's to me, when women who do porn, who work in the industry, right? They embrace those labels that people give them, right? They have no problem using the term, calling themselves slut or calling themselves these names, because they understand that the hate is going to come either way, and they've made their choices and they're comfortable with those choices, and they're going to embrace these labels that people put on them. You take away the power of other people if you just embrace what people call you and you try to pay it as little mind as possible. The other thing that I think is funny is they're saying that it's unhelpful to the movement, whatever that is, for them to be infighting. Well, if you haven't been paying attention to Twitter, conservatives are nothing but infighting all the time. Mm-hmm. And here's the thing: most people, and I would bet that, to your point, you're probably right, Tim and her probably agree on 80% of issues, but various creators with different platforms, with different audiences, if they agree on 80% of things, but they have different audiences, that 20% is probably what drives the people who come to their content. So you have to learn to be okay with the 80% that you agree on, not the 20% that you don't agree on. I thought her response was a little bit over the top. The tweet went farther than that. I took what Tim said as analytical, but I understand the problem when somebody calls you out and you feel like you've been spoken bad to. You feel that way, but I would have rather had seen them come together and talk about it on the Culture War in a more helpful manner. I think everybody would have gotten something out of it.
Yeah, I agree. Hopefully they'll be able to do that. That's what Berner said. Yeah, I'm kind of two minds on this, that it's true. The reason that the left always wins is they are constantly building coalitions and trying to make their side larger. The right is the only group in the world that is constantly trying to make themselves smaller and trying to cast people out. And
the right is the one who say the left always eat their own. No, they rigidly enforce their orthodoxy and push you back in line. Whereas what the right does is they allow the debate, and then they kind of they sector off into these different factions. I can't keep track of who's arguing all the time. I don't really care. I'll have a conversation with anyone. It doesn't really bother me, but it is funny. So the article that we were looking at today, it was like from Barstool, right? And Barstool wrote this article, and basically, we got Drea De Matteo on the show. It's awesome. This is why they win, right? Though the term Barstool conservative is a thing, the left does bring people into their orbit and then keep them there. Whereas the right, they're constantly, it's kind of like the meme. It's like the only people that libertarians like to argue with more than Republicans and Democrats is other libertarians.
Yes.
Right. Like they all want to fight about these things. And that's because they don't have a problem, arguing about their ideas. I didn't feel like she pushed back on Tim's ideas. She just called him names and insulted him. And to his point, what he said, she took him calling what she did online prostitution as an insult. I don't know if that's what he meant.
I think, you said this before, but I think it's something that it wouldn't bother her if she didn't feel a certain way about it and didn't feel
that was what Mary said. Like the way I keep my peace on all this stuff is I just don't, if it doesn't affect me, I just don't worry about it. And Drea De Matteo is never going to know who I am nor care. So it's not really going to matter. And if she's making money and she can feed her family, I am not the same level. Like I don't pearl clutch over these things as long as you keep the kids out of it. And certainly these things wouldn't exist if there weren't men willing to pay for it. So if you want to talk about fixing these problems, talk about the audience that makes it possible first. But until then, it's not really my business. But it's fair to point out, because like when we talked about it today, I was like, look, Tim's my boss, so we're going to talk about this. But if you looked at the comments on most of it, most of the people were saying, well, what is it that you do? Like, what would you call it then? What is the acceptable term for it?
I
don't know.
Yeah, it's what Rob said. Sex work isn't work; it's a path for those with a lack of real work ethic. Yeah, I can't stand that term, sex work.
I would argue that if the free market decides what people are willing to pay for, then the work is whatever you call it. That people are willing to exchange labor for goods and services for money. But again, that's my more detached perspective of it.
I mean, if someone's only job comes in the form of blow, maybe that's all that.
It is what it is. But here's the thing. In our sphere, people also say that what I do isn't work because I host a podcast for a living. So is that not work? Is what they say, what value do you add to society? I go, proudly none. If what I do is give you, I say, if I can give you something to listen to while you're at work, which is how I've come to love podcasting in all its forms. If I can give you something to listen to while you're at work, then I've done my job, right? It's not about whether I can build roads and bridges. It's about, did you, an also productive member of society, get something from what we made? And that's what I think distinguishes the market.
Yeah, I think it's not the fact that OnlyFans exist. It's similar to when people talk about porn. It's not I'm not one of these people who's like, ban it, it's evil, whatever. But there's just too much. It's too much. It's too much. And it's the fact with OnlyFans that it's becoming so omnipresent where I know multiple people who are on there and stuff. I think it's going a bit too far. And it used to be, let me know if it's the same with women. With gay guys, at least, it used to be that you could spot the hose a mile away. You could see these dudes and be like, okay, that's like throwing a hot dog down a hallway, and you avoid. But now it seems like it's just everyone. It's even like, I was going to go on a date with this dude who was like this funny little nerdy guy. Yeah. And then I found his social media and I found his OnlyFans. And this is how much of a dumbass I am, that I was like, oh, well, maybe I write people off too quickly. Let me keep the date. Oh, no, it turns out he then found my social media and canceled with me because I'm transphobic. So I realized, I'm like, no, my problem is I don't write people off quickly enough.
Yeah. Like it's social media. I do make the joke all the time. Like, social media was a mistake. In a lot of ways, it feels like it was a mistake. On my more doomorous days, I'd like the internet as a whole was a mistake. But yeah, that's if you can't spot them from a mile away, then what does it even mean these days? But also, I think I read somewhere, and the number might be a lot higher now. I don't know, but it's like 2 million active like performers on OnlyFans. So take that into account with the population of the well, I'm just saying I'm trying to distinguish that between viewers and right. So if 2 million people use the platform, right, to make money, that's not really a whole lot of people. Like that's 2 million not even in the US. That's not even a whole ton of people. The problem is these stories make for great copy and people love to talk about it because it's obscure and it's outside of the mainstream. They were talking about how this lady recently, she got fired from her teaching job because they found her OnlyFans. And then she got another job working for like a medical company and they found her OnlyFans. She got fired again, but she was making good money. I'm like, well, why don't you just do this full time? Like,
what, she have a pussy of gold that she's making
must
that
be
much more on OnlyFans?
Must be, right? And to be like, what they should point out is like very few people make a lot. Like only the 0.001% really make good money on there. The rest of them, like what you learn, like to women who aren't in that really upper echelon, you're finding out what it means basically for a guy to be a SoundCloud rapper, which is like, it's the same thing.
Yes. The ones who used to hand out their CDs in Times Square.
Like she said, I'd be fine with being friends with someone who did OnlyFans. Yeah, I would have no problem with that. I know
I couldn't date someone.
I don't think I could date. I wouldn't be able to date someone, but I have no problem. Like I'm not going to judge you morally. It doesn't matter to me. But look, Tim's job is to comment on culture and to talk about these things. And in that space, like they were talking about cancel culture and censorship. Well, he's just speaking his mind and talking about what matters to him. And if that's what he cares about, I would have rather seen them go and have a debate about it and talk about the situation.
I'm holding out hope that that's going to happen.
Yep.
Yeah, no, I have multiple friends who are there. Like, I don't agree with it. I think they're too good for that. But you know, I probably have to struggle with bills that they don't. So.
Look, I'd be like, see, I wouldn't even look at it that way. I wouldn't say like, it's not that they're that they're better than that. I'd be like, look, nobody's paying for me on there, so good on you, man. Then like,
I would get like 2 or 3 very enthusiastic people and no one else.
I would get people would be good, right? That'd be good.
Yeah, you must get some like interesting DMs too from people.
Luckily for me, I imagine like the stuff Mary gets is far worse. But I get for the most part, most people just want to talk to me about movies and TV, which I love. I don't always have time to respond, but you know, I get pretty sane people. I'd like to think that our show has fostered a very sane group of people.
Yeah, see, mine, we're like proudly insane, and I love that. No, so when I went on Timcast, they were talking about, I think Phil was talking about how he's single or whatever. So I had gotten dumped like a week before. So I was like, oh, I'm single and my DMs are very wide open, very much wide open.
Did you get some messages?
What a mistake that was.
Oh boy, I bet.
There's one guy who has some weird obsession with my hands and was like, can you take a picture of he's like, you have freakishly big hands. Can you take a picture?
I like the idea. He's like, look, everybody else is into feet, not me. Hands, okay?
Right? I did not know that was a thing. I mean, I guess it's better than the friggin' feet. Feet are disgusting, but that's a new one. Yeah. Oh, yeah. There's a Then there's a Twitter account for my nipples. There's a Twitter account of my abdomen, which I feel like if that's going to exist, I feel like I should at least, you know, have more than one single ab. What do you do if it's an OnlyFans and it's literally just content with actual fans, like a 24-hour live stream, a room full of fans flowing with? See, I want to do a cooking show, only pans.
Yep. There's a couple channels that do like Instagram satirical channels that do that stuff. It is what it is. Look, I'm
gonna do only hands.
There you go. That's all you have to do right there. It'll be perfect.
Yeah, I'm very surprised though to hear that number, that it's only 2 million people, because it seems like it's many people that you encounter.
Yeah. Well, I mean, part of it is like we live our lives algorithmically now. So what you're taking in info wise, the question is, how many of them have you met in real life, and how much of it have you read online? Because the stuff online is being fed to you digitally through algorithms that tell you that this is what's interesting to talk about.
Yeah. Maybe I've just encountered more of them because homos are so skanky.
It's like there's a for like the on OnlyFans. I'm assuming, or I think I've been told that a large percentage of the male performers on there are gay, right? So that's a big part of it. Yeah,
it's got to be
Yep.
like 100%, and some of them are probably just straight guys pretending to be gay for money.
Good pay for all.
What I wanted to ask you about, so you guys have been talking about. I take it you watched the Nickelodeon documentary.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Crazy shit with that. I just finally watched it the other night. What's interesting, you guys I think we're talking about that today, that now suddenly Amanda Bynes is coming out in support of them, which is surprising because, I mean, just looking at the woman, you can tell they must have done some number on her.
I mean, people end up like crazy for all sorts of reasons, right? But Occam's razor tells you that that's the simplest solution. People were upset about our discussing that topic because we put our thumbnail today was just like Amanda Bynes defends Nickelodeon. Well, that's legitimately what she's saying.
What are they upset about?
They were. Mary was just pointing out like what happened, and then there was all the stuff with her like she had a burner Twitter account, or they believe she had a burner Twitter account from a couple years ago that was very critical of Dan Schneider, but there's no way to prove it and all this stuff. When I think of all these stories, first of all, I look at Amanda Bynes. When I was growing up, there was a movie she was in called Big Fat Liar with Frankie Muniz.
Yes,
right, and you see her, and you see this, this just effervescent child, right? Like young girl who's coming into her teen years, and then you see what she grew up to be, and you just feel sad. Yeah. Like you just like, to me, when I look at all this stuff, like that's the hardest stuff for us to talk about. For me, I didn't watch Nickelodeon growing up. I did not have cable, so I did not have cable growing up. So like for me, that wasn't my thing. But like when I read all these stories, like they're mad at Ariana Grande because Ariana Grande won't talk about it. I'm like, well, Ariana Grande is very successful, and there's no upside for her speaking out right now. There just isn't. And I'm very pragmatic in these things. I say if somebody feels the need to speak up, let them. But if they don't, there's nothing I hate more than people saying it's your job, it's your duty to speak up. Fuck that. You don't get to tell them how to deal with whatever they went through. They can deal with that however they want, and it's not their responsibility to do so because the internet said so.
Yeah, this is very true. Drake's Bell's mom.
Oh, yeah.
It's always the parents are always the worst ones of all.
Well, and Drake Bell's dad did everything in his power to protect him, and then and it just fell through so horribly. You felt so bad for the guy.
Yeah, the one good parent in that was what was her name? The black mother who took her kid out of it, and then he ended up being a mess and hating her for it.
Yep. Yeah, a lot of it is just I see a lot of pain and a lot of misery and a lot of it's just knowing what we know now. It's very easy to say, "Oh, why didn't they understand?" But people didn't have the knowledge of Hollywood that people do now. Like nowadays, I feel like even the most uninformed parent probably knows that that it's not the best thing in the world to leave your kid in an industry that's destroyed this many lives.
Yeah. Oh, speaking of which, child actor parents are definitely something. You guys have to watch this documentary that came out a couple of years ago called The Hollywood Complex that follows these stage parents in Hollywood, and they taking it is. I mean, you need a shower after watching it. It's so disgusting.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie. When they did it, it was like in episode 1 or 2, and they were like they found three pedophiles at Nickelodeon. I was like, only 3?
That's it. Yeah, it's like the same thing.
Or I guess the rest must have just not been caught yet. Like that was the first thing I thought. It's
so sick. Apparently Drake's dad. This makes my blood boil. Apparently,
oh yeah, that was crazy.
It's it's the same reason that when Kevin Spacey got caught, what was his first response? Oh, I'm gay. Yeah, because
I decided just now to come out as gay.
Because he knows that with this people, he has the shield of identity of being a victim group. It's so sick, and that's how these identity politics are always used to cover up for the worst people in the world.
Think about that too. That was like, we're not talking about 5 years ago. We're talking about 20 years ago now. Like we're talking about a long time ago when this was happening.
So yeah, it's more overt now, but it's been going on forever.
Yep. Oh, you don't like the fact that Drake Bell, that Brian Peck is paying unbelievable attention to your son in a creepy way? You must be homophobic.
Who would these parents? Kevin needs. Wait, who's Kevin? Oh, Spacey, duh. I love how we just pretend that he's not like out there murdering bitches. 3 of his accusers mysteriously died, or was it 4? It might have been 4 of his accusers mysteriously died in the span of a year.
Yep.
And the thing is, that bastard knows how above the law he is, that the day after one of them died, do you remember he came out and made this
video?
Yeah, about kill them with kindness. Like, rubbing it in people's faces because he knows that he's untouchable.
He really embraces the Frank Underwood character. Did you watch his thing with Tucker? Did you watch his interview with Tucker?
I watched some of it and I just couldn't believe it. And then I think a lot of people felt that way because I had some friends who were like, "Oh no, it's AI. It's not really him."
No, it doesn't look real. Like in a lot of ways, if you look at it at max resolution, it doesn't look real at all.
I still don't know what to think about it. Like I typically like Tucker, but to have him on uncritically and not like just as it's like a normal person.
He's also acting again, but he's doing so in roles overseas. He's not really doing much in America right now, but he was at he had a couple of films at various film festivals this year outside the country.
Yeah, he had to find some Eurotrash perverts that'll put up with him. Yeah, it felt like a Shia LaBeouf demonstration.
Yep.
One of his like performance art. Apparently it was real. Apparently
it was real. I have no idea. Like I just that's the thing now with everything going on today. I just don't know what the hell is real and what the hell isn't anymore.
Same, and I feel like that's sort of part of the agenda that's being pushed on us. I always say the left kind of they're fighting this war on reality to remake reality in their image according to their ideology, and it's working is the worst part.
I mean, to me, it's more about like just the amount of if you've been paying attention to what's going on with Diddy right now. So Diddy's whole, he has his house raided and he has both his properties raided for this, human trafficking, sex trafficking case. And then now what's going on is everybody's bringing up all of these old things like Jay-Z and things with all of these other celebrities. And you post 2 pictures of 2 celebrities next to each other. You talk about some gossip from 10 years ago, and that's suddenly the proof that all of this stuff happened. Instead, we should be focusing on what's actually coming out on this case, because that's real. Like that's something we can latch onto. The rest of it just comes across as gossip to drive clicks and traffic online.
Yeah. 1 sec before we get into let me just say thank you, my beloved Fit Dad Chris. Yo, when you having me on your show? You've been on mine. By the way, I was never into feet until I noticed how sexy my fiancés are. No toes in my mouth. I support you. I support all the toes in your mouth, your fiancé feet. God bless.
I shan't kink shame. I would never do that.
I disagree. Some hoes need to be shamed, I feel like. But like some of these people, not put the toes in your mouth. God bless. However, some of these people are into some weird shit that I'm like, some hoes need to be shamed.
A lot of people, I see the chat says Diddy is the bait for the bigger fish. Yeah, I mean, possible. I think a lot of it is like if he had like all of the security camera footage of all of these people doing stuff, then it probably is believable that the FBI wasn't there to collect evidence as much as, take it and destroy it.
Let me real quick, before we get into Diddy, let's have a very quick word from our sponsor.
It's time for much grifting. Give me all your money. Don't just be a drifter. Help me be a grifter.
Fuck you, pay me.
So, if you guys like the show,
love the song.
Thank you.
Yes.
Send in your super chats, become a channel member, join my locals. We do really fun stuff. We are an epic squad. We have our private Discord. We have game nights, movie nights, Zoom hangouts. So come join the squad. You're here anyway. Join the squad. Become a squad member. How can people support you, by the way?
The best thing you can do, guys, is go check out Pop Culture Crisis on YouTube. We're live 5 days a week, Monday through Friday. We're live at 3 p.m. every day, 3 p.m. Eastern, and come check out the show live. Like the show does increasingly well with the segments going up, but I want to get more people in there for those live shows. And Sometimes 3 p.m. can be hard for some people because it's like the middle of the day and stuff like that. But if you're one of those people, if you can listen or watch at work, just check us out live and jump in the chat and say hi. I'm always trying to pay it. Like when I'm doing the show, one of the funny things about it is like I always enjoy doing other people's shows more, a lot of times more than my own, because when I'm doing our show, I'm doing so many things at once that I'm basically trying to not sound stupid. Like I can't really form super coherent thoughts.
That's me all the time.
I'm not a multitasker. Whereas here I can actually like formulate whole sentences and finish what I'm thinking. So just join us there and hang out. It's a lot of fun.
This is the best idea I've ever heard. Brett, when are you going on the Whatever podcast?
I am not. Look, Mary can do whatever. Okay, Mary can hit him with the truth.
Has she been on it?
Oh yeah, twice, 2 or 3 times, and she puts them in their place for sure. For me, I'm just one of those people like, yeah, you know, whatever you want to make your money. You're too. I'm too middle of the road, dude.
No, not middle of the road. I was gonna say nice, but I don't like the word nice. That's not. You're too much of a. No, what's the word? Chat, help me out. I was gonna say good person, but so is like. What word am I looking for?
I like if they say something stupid, I'm gonna feel bad for them more than want to like dunk. It's just like, and look, the people in that space, like whether you're talking about like the red pill dudes or the dating experts,
I hate them all.
That's not my thing. Like it's do whatever you want and make your money, but that's just like I wouldn't know. I don't know. I don't have the talking points or all the stats on all the things. Like 80% of the women are dating 20% of the. I don't know. Okay, whatever. Like I'm focused on my life.
Yeah. See, it would. I know this will never happen, but it would be my dream for them to do an episode of Gay Guys and just bring me on and let me tell them about themselves.
Honestly, they should do that. Like that would probably do really interesting numbers to like make it a theme.
Please bring me on there and let me just tell these hoes about themselves. Because I got a while ago, I got an angry text from some person I used to be friends with way back in the day who was reading my social media. So they always have to announce their exit. So she texts me. She's like, I have unfriended you because you are a racist, sexist, homophobic asshole.
Did they say what it was that made
Oh, no, never. It's always very vague.
So you
I said though, I was like, I assure you, only homophobic is true.
Okay.
Like that's the one. The rest, I hate everyone equally, but I hate the gays a little bit more.
Okay. So this is one of those things where like you're not even free from that label, even if you yourself are gay. They can also.
Oh, they hate you more than anyone. Then.
Okay. It's interesting. Like I've gotten a couple of those messages, but I feel like most of the time, like it's from people who've never actually watched stuff that I've done. They just know where I work, and that like people that I know that know where I work. But if they knew me beforehand, I'm not any different than I was before. Like my views haven't changed. Really, one of the best things about my job is like it shores up your beliefs, right? Like the best thing that's happened to me is like being around so many people who have these very well thought out and defined worldviews, but you see a lot of them, and seeing that mine is like, I'm open to new ideas and certain things of mine have changed. But on the Overton window, I think that's changed more than I have. Right. Like I don't feel like I feel more strongly about any of these issues than I did 10 years ago. I used to care more about politics. Now, because of my job, I just don't have the time. I don't have the time to care about politics.
That's why I love what you do and stuff like that, because I'm so burnt out with I'm so over politics. If I never heard another word about politics and never had to talk about politics again, it wouldn't be too soon.
Yeah, it's like my go-to commentary on politics. They say if you're focused on national elections, you're already losing. The best thing you can do is focus on your local school boards and government, and go and worry about that and try to get people, you know, that have values that you hold in office, and do so in the real world. Otherwise, national politics now, it's just like pro wrestling. It's just pro wrestling.
I know.
That's all it is.
I think also when I started kind of speaking up and getting involved, things were so damn quaint compared to how they were now. Back then, the things that people were talking about was like cancel culture and comedians being able to perform at colleges. And now it's like, if the government can put you under house arrest and take political prisoners and force medicate you, it just feels so depressing. And or if elections are even legitimate, like it's just so depressing. And it feels like, and I think also it used to be that you could talk about politics or be interested in politics and then escape politics. There is no escape anymore. It's politics is in everything. It's in what bathroom you go to, what sports you watch, movies. There's no escape from it. And that's really, I think, been the biggest degradation of our culture, that everything is just centered around politics now. It's like politics has become a replacement for people's personalities, for culture, for anything.
Team sport mentality. The same way people care about their local football team or care about their baseball team. People just want to see their guy win, and I don't have any such allegiance to any one person.
Exactly. I'm the same way. I'm so over all of them. Like, I've just kind of checked out a little bit.
I keep joking. So I sometimes hop in. My girlfriend does a show on like the Timcast Discord, like before the show, and I will hop in there from time to time and say Fetterman 2024. I'm all in for John Fetterman 2024 all day.
He's been like, I think we all thought he would be so terrible. He's been surprisingly based on a couple things.
Yeah, I like, there it is. Fetterman, Vivek 2024 in that order too. I want Fetterman as president and Vivek as vice president.
I would kind of be down for that.
That's what it should be. I do think Vivek, like from a neutral standpoint, he is so unbelievably good at handling the public. Like, he is so, like, I would, like, that's serious. I had a tweet the other day. I said, I'm constantly in awe of other people's abilities. He's an example of that, or anybody in the sphere who just, he's so informed and he's so smart, and he's able to, it's not just about being well-spoken. It's about being able to redirect questions when you know that they're not acting in good faith and all of this stuff. And that job, it's not something I would ever want to have. And I can't believe anyone would, right? No. It's like, I would never want to have that type of responsibility or anything like that. So it's crazy.
Scrutiny. No, he really won me over at the beginning. I was like, he's too damn slick. He's full of shit, but he really won me over by the end of it.
Yeah, he's plus I think he's one of those people, like he did the stuff, the kind of cringy stuff with Jake Paul, and I was like, I feel like he could speak to the next generation. He said, I don't want to see politicians go on CNN or Fox. I want to see politicians go on Nelk Boys. I want to see them go on Full Send and talk about politics. It's funnier, and you'll reach more people that way.
Yeah, I have come around on him. Also, hey, Esteban. Earthbull says, get into Magic the Gathering. I know nothing about Magic the Gathering.
I don't do any tabletop gaming.
I like board games, but kind of like basic bitch board game. Like I'm a Monopoly shark.
Wait, so you actually finish games of Monopoly?
Brett. People say Monopoly lasts. It only lasts forever if you artificially inflate the Monopoly economy.
Okay.
It has a bad rap, and that's only because people make up their own rules and do all this bullshit. Otherwise, I will beat them much sooner.
I don't think I've ever finished a game of Monopoly.
No. I am undefeated. I have had people flip tables and stop being friends with me because of my Monopoly skills. It's like the one thing I'm good at.
You're destined to be a landlord one day. That's what it is. You're destined to own property, my friend.
Yeah, hopefully at some point in this lifetime.
You're gonna have to do that.
So what's your I mean, other than the obvious movies and shows, what's your nerdy thing? What's your nerdy escape?
I don't know if I have anything like that. I think
we know yours.
In this world, I think it would be the fact that I love boomer television. Like that's my thing. Like I love every show that was made for like a 50-year-old like couple who has no idea what's going on. They just got off work and they just throw the TV on in the background. That's the shit I like.
I have a great one for you. It was the perfect mix of like procedural, but they had the overarching story. Have you ever seen this show, The Good Wife?
I've never watched The Good Wife. I get that one recommended for me. Oh,
it's so
good. My nerdy thing is I go on about the greatest era of television that's ever existed was the USA Network from the years 2008 to 2014. That was actually when television peaked. It wasn't Game of Thrones. It wasn't The Sopranos. It was Burn Notice and White Collar and Psych and Monk.
What about Witchblade? Did you ever watch Witchblade?
I just saw an ad for that the other day. I had no idea what that was.
Freaking Yancey Butler who followed me recently. I was like, okay, she's on my exception list too. Like Yancey Butler as Witchblade. That was another handsome woman.
So all these shows from this time period, there was necessary roughness and Fairly Legal and Graceland and all of these shows that they were so focused on great characters and fun stories that they didn't get bogged down in the stupidity of politics. And if you, I challenge anyone, go back and watch these shows, something like Burn Notice or White Collar. Covert Affairs. I see somebody laughing at Covert Affairs down there. That's another strong female character that was done really, really well. Annie Walker. And it was just a great time in television. And I loved it. And the great thing about she mentions Covert Affairs. They did this thing in the later seasons where they sacrificed pay and they went and filmed on location in other countries. Because how do you do a show about the CIA in other countries if not without, if you're not going to do it green screen? And they would go guerrilla film in other countries without permits. Like these big name actors that you've heard of, like Piper Perabo, who was in the underrated classic Coyote Ugly.
Coyote Ugly!
Yeah. Okay, they would go and they
Jersey.
would just... Yes, and they would just go film without permits sometimes in these town squares to get the shots. No lights, no anything, just camera setup, basic equipment, and they would go get their shots because they had to work within a certain budget. And there's just something weirdly romantic about that type of filmmaking. And you just don't see that anymore. Everything's dour and grim and real. Well, guess what? I don't want real. I don't want shit to be real. I want every spy to look like a supermodel. And I want every character to be good looking, and I want all the stories to be fun. Okay, that's what I want.
Well, it's so weird too. Even in a lot of these sort of more fantastical movies, it's just so drab looking. Like they came out with the trailer for Wicked, and it just looks so. Yeah. That's gonna be a disaster. That's gonna be a mess and a half, I think.
He says, I had a crush on Christopher Gorham back in the day. He's in that show. He plays Augie. He's blind. The character's blind. The actor's not blind. He wouldn't be allowed to do that now.
No.
Cast an actor. Well, actually, no, they can get away with it because there's flashbacks to when he could see. So they can get away with it by saying the character had his sight before. So we have to have the actor to play both.
It's so terrible. Yeah. Brett, you need to get on the K-drama train. It sounds what is that? Korean drama?
Yeah. I liked. Okay, the only thing I've watched is Hellbound. I watched Hellbound and I liked it. That was the only one that I've watched.
I remember that. Oh my God.
I used to have a lot harder time with like foreign language stuff. Now I don't mind it as much.
You could go to the Coyote Ugly bar. There was one in New York, and I always wanted to go there, and I never went there.
That's a great movie. Okay, I don't care what anyone says. That's a great movie.
I love that movie. Maria Bello in that movie. I couldn't decide if she would be on my exception list or if I just wanted to be her. I think I just wanted to be her.
Piper Perabo.
No, Maria Bello. Well, she was okay, but Maria Bello in that was
also a younger Bridget Monahan. Bridget Monahan is in that movie. Right. And she went on to be, she's on the show Blue Bloods with Tom Selleck. She plays the daughter of Tom Selleck in Blue Bloods, but she also played John Wick's wife in the few scenes of him with his wife on his phone that he keeps watching. That's Bridget Monahan.
It's nice. I saw her in something recently and I was like, oh, it's really nice to see somebody who looks like appropriate. Like she doesn't have her face all pulled back. She's not injected with a million different things. Oh my God. What we need to talk about. I'm guessing it's not your cup of tea. However, they did the reboot of Sex and the City.
Never seen it. Never seen a single episode. I don't think it's for me.
I don't think so either. However, the original was so great. It was so beautiful. It was very politically incorrect. And this reboot, and just like that, I had to do like emergency weekly streams of it because it was, oh my God, it is like nothing you have ever seen in your life.
It's one thing that I would love to do if I had the time would be to go through and do like weekly episode reviews of old shows and stuff like that. Like that would be fun. I wish I had the time to do that, but I just don't. And I find new stuff all the time.
Which one would you do?
Oh God, there's too many to list right there. I've listed about 10 shows that I would be able to do that from right now. I'd probably try to find something that was like, that had less like stuff made about it. Like I wouldn't make it about the X-Files because there's like 100 shows, 100 podcasts about the X-Files from people who are far more well researched and like it more than me. But I would like to do that with something. I would do it about the USA Network shows. Okay, I'd do it about Burn Notice. I'd do it about White Collar. I would do it about Covert Affairs, and I'd do it about Graceland. And I'd have a lot of fun with that.
You should do that. You call it something like "God Bless the USA."
Oh my gosh, that is such a fantastic name.
I bet Mike would enjoy watching Song Joong Ki. I don't know what that is.
That's probably an actor.
Really? It sounds kind of Korean. There needs to be more podcasts about the X-Files.
There's a lot.
There's, I
recommend if you want a great one that I really, really liked. So there's the X-Files files from Kumail Nanjiani, who's an actor. He was in the new Ghostbusters. He's not my favorite actor, but
he
as a podcast, he's we made fun of him recently because of he had a thing where he had, like, he said he had to go see a therapist after the reviews of the Eternals came out, and he said that he and I was like, bro, I feel like I need a therapist every day when I read the comments about our podcast. Doesn't mean I need to actually go see a therapist.
You read them?
No. So the thing is like, because like when I'm setting up the stream or like looking at the YouTube channel, like you can't look away from the top 3 comments. They're like right there. But in general, I don't read them. It's a drain on your life battery, and it doesn't actually help anything.
No, I have, especially if I ever go on another show, like if there were a gun to my head, I wouldn't read the comments.
No, I like it. I like on our show, like people say, like whenever they come on our show, they're like, "You have one of the nicest chats we've ever seen." Yeah.
I have to say, I will fight you. My chat is the greatest.
Yep. It's, we keep it polite.
Didn't he want to be a bad guy in some recent flick? The Song Joong Ho guy.
Oh yeah, so I think he was the actor where it's really interesting. Like you hear them talk about how he said that he couldn't get roles as a bad guy because his parents are from Pakistan. So he's saying like they're only going to hire the white guy as the bad guy.
He could be a terrorist.
Right? They won't do that anymore. They're not going to do that anymore, right? The example I always give is the example I always give is in the really, really bad Predator remake that I actually like, the 2018 Predator remake. Sterling K. Brown, he doesn't even play a bad guy. He's just a shithead government official who chews gum and says shit to people. And he's coming off, he's doing the show This Is Us at the time, which is bathtub television. It's syrupy. It's
wine moms.
And yeah, and then he comes and he's doing this role, and he looks like he's having the time of his life because everybody wants to play the bad guy. Nobody wants to be the good guy. Everyone wants to get to play the cool bad guy. It's like when Tom Cavanaugh, who played Harrison Wells in The Flash, and then he talked about, he's like, and then I got to get into, he's like, I got to learn my bad guy voice. I got to get back into shape for my bad guy voice, where it doesn't matter how far apart you are from the hero. You could be a parking lot away from him. You talk in a low whisper, and somehow they hear you no matter what, like even though you're talking like this. Like everybody wants to be the bad guy.
I'm telling you, Vincenzo had one of the best. Who is that?
I don't know. I don't know who that is.
I'm surprised. I think I only saw a little bit of that Predator remake. I just, there have been so few horror remakes that have been good.
And beating the original Predator is kind of a fool's errand. It's product of one of the greatest times in movies, which was the unbridled masculinity of the 80s. Yes. And yeah, you know,
even the super gay Nightmare on Elm Street sequel. I don't know if you've seen that. Even that, they were more manly than the straight guys and stuff today. Oh, it is the gayest movie of all time. You have to see Nightmare on Elm Street too. I mean, it is. It was like the original OnlyFans. He was the first fan. I tried watching the other day. I have a friend who keeps insisting to me that the Nightmare on Elm Street remake was good. So I was like, maybe I missed something. I don't remember it. Let me rewatch it. Holy shit. I don't know what he's smoking.
Yeah.
Hereditary. Have you seen Hereditary?
I haven't seen it.
What?
I haven't seen it.
I think you would like it. How about Midsommar?
I quit Midsommar halfway. I couldn't even get through it. Look, I'm not a horror guy. I'm legitimately not a horror guy. Like, I love the slashers of the 90s because when I was a kid, that was like what we watched. I was just talking to somebody about how great I Know What You Did Last Summer was, and I was talking about how
I just did a rewatch.
I was talking about how Ryan Phillippe was one of the greatest things that ever happened to Hollywood, because he also did Cruel Intentions like 2 years later, and Cruel Intentions is a masterpiece.
Yes.
I encourage everyone to go. Like, you want to talk about degeneracy, go rewatch Cruel Intentions.
You know what I will swear my entire life is underrated? I Still Know What You Did Last Summer. Not as good as the first, obviously, but it's a good time.
I'll never forget when he does the reveal with his name.
Yes!
And I just died. He's like, Will Benson? Ben's son? And I'm like, oh, no fucking way.
It's so great. It's the trashiest best. And Jack Black as like the white wigger.
Yeah, and the best thing about that is like the guy who plays.
What are we waiting for? Huh?
The guy who plays. What are you waiting for? Like, well, if I was there, I wouldn't be waiting for anything. It's Jennifer Love Hewitt. She's all like wet.
Yeah.
But so like in those movies, the bad guy is played by an actor named Muse Watson, who's really good. Like, as an actor, he's really, really good. But you don't even get to spend that much time with him in the movie, because he's always, all his scenes are with the hood up, or with the cloak up and the hat.
Wow, this is surprising. I did not know this. Ryan Phillippe has been tweeting out some pretty base stuff lately.
Yeah, he's from what I
Really?
understand. Yeah, he's I think he's also just from a generation of people who might have been more reasonable back then. He seems like it. He also was in the underrated like television adaptation of the movie Shooter with Mark Wahlberg. He plays the Mark Wahlberg character in the television version, and I actually really liked it. I don't think anybody else liked it but me, because it only went 3 seasons, but it was good.
I don't remember that.
Oh, it says they said he's friends with Tim Dillon. Okay.
Really? I gotta check. I didn't even know he was on Twitter. I gotta check that out. Did you see? I came across this a couple months ago, maybe on YouTube. I didn't even know it existed, but they tried to do like a TV pilot of Cruel Intentions with Sarah Michelle Gellar in it. It was it's a good thing.
Oh, did they try to? You can't do that.
No.
I mean, the thing is like, it was at the time it was a bit more shocking, right? Now it's not really shocking. It would just be Euphoria, and they'd do more nudity, and it would be boring.
Yeah, and they just did the thing that they do with all of these, that they just sand down all rough edges and make it very palatable and very sanitized.
Do you remember Cruel Intentions? You get what's his name is the guy from Mighty Ducks. Joshua Jackson plays his gay friend who's
She was so hot. Pacey. I doubt you watched Dawson's Creek, but
I didn't watch Dawson's Creek.
Oh, I was Team Pacey. Fuck.
He was in Fringe. Fringe is a really good sci-fi series. If you're looking for a show that's a little bit more modern and like the X-Files, Fringe is the show to watch.
Oh. You know what we need to talk about? Speaking of Joshua Jackson, last year they came out with a sort of TV reboot of Fatal Attraction for modern
I didn't watch
audiences.
It, but I saw the cover, and it was bad.
It was basically, she was just misunderstood.
Of course.
I'm like, the bitch was crazy. She boiled a bunny.
Let her be crazy. There's nothing wrong with that. Some people are crazy.
Exactly.
Doesn't mean all people are crazy, and nobody's saying that all women will boil a bunny, but let
that
this
one
woman
did.
boil
That
a
one
bunny,
did.
and that's fine.
That one did boil a damn bunny.
Yep, Joshua Jackson's a good actor. He's a good actor. And as a Minnesotan, I have to be partial towards Mighty Ducks because I grew up with those movies because I played hockey growing up.
Oh, nice. He was so hot in those 90s things.
The other thing that's funny about that is if you look back at those movies from that time period, like the sports movies of that time period were all so like upbeat and pro America and awesome because they were all about, kids and sports, and we wanted to get kids into sports and stuff like that. But the Mighty Ducks movies, like my brother was an extra in like one of the first ones. It's like in the crowd and stuff like that. I still have like a Hawks jersey, like an Adam Banks Hawks jersey from the first movie and stuff like that. I just love that stuff.
Please tell me you've seen, by the way, speaking of 90s movies, The Faculty.
Yep. Oh, yeah.
Oh, that was one of my favorite. That is a classic.
Another one where a lot of it is built on ambiance, right? Like they don't do well with building ambiance these days.
Oh no, it just like doesn't exist anymore.
He says the Minnesota is the USSR of the Midwest.
Jacob.
I mean, maybe. I mean, maybe Chicago, like downtown Chicago and downtown Minneapolis, kind of both. Yeah.
Burner wants to know, can we please talk about the Roadhouse reboot? So I have not seen either Roadhouse. So you are. I have not watched the reboot. I do know that you shouldn't. In general, guys, remaking Patrick Swayze movies isn't a good idea. If you watched Point Break and then you watched the shitty Point Break remake from like 2018, you'll understand what I'm saying. Okay? And I haven't watched the new one. I've heard some people say that, it's so bad it's good, and Conor McGregor is so bad at acting that it's actually kind of funny. Maybe I'll watch it this weekend, but in general, I'm one of those people, I don't tend to judge things harshly just because it's a reboot or a remake. But Patrick Swayze was just such a big part of the generation, right? Like whether we're talking like late 80s or 90s, recapturing that without someone like him is very difficult. They did. I don't know if you guys saw, they did a TV remake of Dirty Dancing with this chubby girl. Oh, I don't remember who played him. I just remember the girl was like, as they say now, a person of size.
Is that actually what they call it?
Oh yeah, you can't say fat. They're a person.
Well, I know that you're supposed to put person in front of it because you're supposed to acknowledge their humanity first. Like, yeah.
You can't say a homeless person. It's a person experiencing houselessness.
Those without home.
Ugh. And it's like once you become aware of that and you hear somebody use this sort of newspeak, it's all you can't unsee it. It's all you can pay attention to.
I see somebody asked if I was at the Lady Ballers premiere. Yeah, we did go to the Lady Ballers premiere.
So I actually still have not seen it. My friend Chandler was in that movie though, so I should watch it to see her.
I had a lot of fun with it. One of the things was like I rated it pretty high. I had some critiques of it, but for the most part, I enjoyed the way that they pulled the storyline with the dad and the daughter back to an actual wholesome moment enough that it made the raunchy-esque comedy work. I think that some of the jokes felt very boomer Facebook dad, like conservative boomer dad jokes, and it is what it is. But the wholesome part of it was enough for me because I'm kind of a sap and I'm here for that type of stuff. Like if they hadn't pulled it around to having an actual emotional moment, I probably would have rated it lower. But the ability to kind of knock that scene out of the park really worked for me.
Where are you rating these things on the show, or are you on Letterboxd?
No, we do the reviews on the show and everything like that. I should have like a Letterboxd account or a Critic List account. I have like no attention span to that stuff. I just want to hit the camera. I just want to hit the button and start talking. Like I was like, oh, do I have to type it all out? I don't want to type it all out. That's difficult. Where do I put the comma? I don't know. I just want to talk about it.
Yeah, I have no attention span either, but I get like very OCD with things like that. Of like Letterboxd, I'm like I have to put everything on my lists on there.
Yeah. Yep.
Leah. I'm not a fan of musicals. I refuse to watch Legally Blonde. Legally Blonde, the musical, is amazing.
Is it?
It is amazing. It's Earth Bowl. He knows what's up. Yeah, it is underrated. I kind of want to see Lady Ballers just to see Matt Walsh's character.
Yeah. Like, I mean, they lean into his kind of, it works for him because it's so against his actual personality that it works perfectly.
I'm kind of, I need to watch it already. By the way, so Brett, we are going to play a little game that I have for you. Are you ready for this?
I'm ready.
So we are going to do the movie version of Fuck, Marry, Kill.
Okay.
So I'm going to give you 3 movies. You got to tell me which one you would fuck, marry, kill. So we are starting with 3 masterpieces: Force Awakens, Last Jedi, Rise of Skywalker.
Okay, I almost want to obfuscate. I don't care about Star Wars. I'm gonna say it right here. I don't care about Star Wars. I like that. Yeah, I don't care about Star Wars or Star Trek. Never have, never will. You can't make me feel bad about it.
I've never seen Star Trek.
Space opera isn't my thing. I would rather watch like the mid 2000s sci-fi shows rather than that. But if I had to choose, So which what is it we got here? What's the third one? I can't. Is that the original? No, that's
these are the Disney sequels.
These are all new trilogy.
Yeah,
right?
Have you seen them?
Yes. Okay, so I have seen all of them once. I wouldn't do any of these. I would get Rogue. I'd get Rogue One on here to marry.
No, but you have to pick one to marry, like to keep forever. The other, you'll watch it once, and the other kill. Remove.
Okay. Rise of Skywalker, I'll marry just because everyone's gonna hate. Or no, yeah. Let's go with Force Awakens. I'll marry. Fine.
I'm not trying to influence you.
Are they mad right now? Oh gosh, let's go. I can't do it. I just don't care.
That is the correct. If I had a bell, I would dig it. That is.
I will kill all of them. I don't care. I'll kill all of them. I don't care.
I would do marry Force Awakens, fuck Last Jedi, kill Rise of Skywalker. Rise of Skywalker is worse than The Last Jedi. Rise of Skywalker is the Joe Biden of movies.
Yeah, like to me, it's like you have to care about these things. And when it comes to things like Star Wars, I'm a tourist. I've seen them once, and I just never really cared. It just never mattered to me.
I like the originals. I've never seen Star Trek. I'm not really into sci-fi stuff, but. By the way, chat, if you have any contributions to this, let us know.
Oh yeah, let us know.
I got a couple more for you. I don't know. Are you a Marvel person? I am not.
I can at least look at these. Let's go ahead and look at these.
All right. Fuck, marry, kill. Madam Web, The Marvels, Thor, Love and Thunder.
Okay. So I'm gonna marry Madam Web.
Ooh.
I'm gonna fuck the Marvels, and I'm gonna kill Thor: Love and Thunder.
I have not seen any of the. The only Marvel movie I've ever seen was the Spider-Man one that had all of them in it because it was like throwback.
Madam Web was so bad. It was so much fun. Literally, Dakota Johnson just looks like an advertisement for Xanax the whole time. Like, it's fantastic.
She kind of always does.
Yeah, that's the thing. She's exactly like she would be. Like, she's driving an ambulance at 100 miles an hour. She's like, get out of the way. And it's just, it's so bad. It was so much fun. This is the best thing you can do is to just go into a movie expecting it to be awful, and it will be so much more fun. Just don't let it get to you.
I heard there's this movie that came out recently called Imaginary that I heard is so horrendous. It's fun.
I see. The thing is, like, Thor: Love and Thunder, no, like Ragnarok, I guess, fine, but I haven't really cared for any of the Thor movies. The only ones that the Marvel movies that really mattered to me were the Captain America trilogy because they were more themed around politics. Now, the Winter Soldier, which is my favorite Marvel movie of all time, is a legitimately good spy thriller on top of the superhero elements to it. Civil War is also a really good one that asks a lot of really, really interesting quasi-political questions about government ethics and use of force from foreign invaders, right? So in the movie,
wow.
Robert Downey Jr., like basically Iron Man and Captain America are at odds because after this event where the Avengers go and try to take out a bad, I don't even remember who it was in that one. It wasn't who can somebody in the chat remind me who it was that they were taking in Sokovia in Civil War. Basically, after this mass tragedy happens because of their force in this foreign country, they're not governed by a government body, right? So they're just operating in a foreign land. It wasn't Zemo there, I don't think. But so they're operating in a foreign land without any oversight. And after this event happens, they get called to the UN for something called the Sokovia Accords, where basically they want all superheroes to sign this to decide, like, look, once you sign this, you go where we, the UN, tells you, and you're not allowed to intervene without our say-so. And Robert Downey Jr. says, look, a bunch of people died. This was a tragedy. We have unlimited power. We need to be put in check. Captain America says, look, when I see something happen, I have to act. When I see something bad happen, I have to act. And there's a great discussion there, right? That's beyond just, space beams, space lasers, and superheroes. And it's very, very interesting. The 3 movies here, not exactly on that level.
I'm surprised. I'm shocked, as someone who hasn't seen any of them, I'm shocked that they broached any of that in a Marvel movie.
Yeah,
maybe because I think that was one of the earlier ones, wasn't it?
Yeah. So Civil War was in phase 3, and then Winter Soldier was in phase 2. I do recommend watching the Captain America movies and the Iron Man movies on top of the Avengers. They are legitimately good films. Okay, not all the Iron Man movies are good, but Robert Downey Jr. is charismatic enough that it doesn't really matter.
Isn't Gwyneth Paltrow on I'm obsessed with her. She is so delightfully delusional.
No, she just doesn't care about being a regular person, and I love it. Her ski trial was the greatest thing ever. She just doesn't know what's going on with regular people, nor does she try.
I can't wait until the day that they make a Lifetime movie about that ski trial.
Limited series. There's a stage play about it.
What?
Yes. Oh yeah, absolutely. Look, Google it. There's going to be a stage. It's already being done right now. There's a stage play about her ski trial.
What?
I'm not kidding you.
Chat, Brett, everyone, we need to all go see it. Ski trial musical. What?
Yep.
What? Thing. Wait. Let me pull this up. Oh my God. I'm so happy right now. What? Ski trial musical set for Gwyneth goes skiing.
Yep.
Derek. Oh my God, where is Park City? No, bring it here. Put
it on Broadway. None of this off-Broadway shit. Put it on Broadway.
Park City. Okay, I will travel to. Oh my God.
He was a dentist. He was a dentist. She was a goop candle maker selling her vagina scented candles. And together, they'll change the slopes forever.
Look, she's holding the friggin' vagina candle too.
Is she wearing the vibrator necklace? That's the real question. Is she wearing
There was a vibrator necklace?
Oh yeah, it's like this. Yeah, oh yeah, there's a vibrator necklace too.
No. Okay, well, I know what I'm getting everyone for Christmas this year. Oh my God, I have to see this.
Yeah,
I will sell a kidney to go see this.
The best part was like the lawyer who was like obsessed with Gwyneth Paltrow, who just wanted to be friends with her.
Oh, so
she's
good.
Like, you're so great.
Oh, this is beautiful. I hope they stream it or something. Yes, all of the Oscars.
Give it all the Oscars. Well, I guess that would be the Tony Awards. That'd be the Tonys.
Oh, yes.
Yes.
All right, Brett, I have one more left for you. We have got the Strong Woman special.
Okay.
Fuck, Marry, Kill. Ghostbusters 2016, Charlie's Angels 2019, Terminator Dark Fate.
Okay, I'm fucking Charlie's Angels.
That makes sense.
I'm marrying Terminator Dark Fate, and I'm killing Ghostbusters 2016.
By the way, at
least if I marry Terminator Dark Fate, I get to hang out with Arnie.
That's true. I have to find Ramiro's chat. This is a good point. The Last Jedi would probably give great head with how much it sucks.
There you go. That's perfect. Look, and I say that I'm gonna F Charlie's Angels because those women are all hot is when they're not, purposely trying to not look hot.
That's the thing. These people, it's like they try to make themselves look as unpalatable as possible.
Also, it was really just a chance for Elizabeth Banks to dress up a lot and put on new outfits all the time. But Elizabeth Banks gets some grace. I got to give her flowers because she made 2 years ago the highly underrated Cocaine Bear,
which is surprising.
Yes.
I couldn't believe she directed that, and it goes to show that when these people get past their obsession with gender and identity, they can actually make something enjoyable. Who knew?
Yep, it was good. I love Cocaine Bear. They need to make and then they're going to make a sequel, Cocaine Bear 2 Electric Boogaloo. They should just do all different cocaine animals and then mix it together with the Sharknado universe.
Cocaine Cocker Spaniel.
Yes, perfect. Well, I mean, it's kind of like what they're doing. They're doing the twisted.
The Pooniverse.
Yeah, the Pooniverse.
The Pooniverse.
Yep. The Rotten Tomatoes score on Winnie the Pooh Blood and Honey 2 is like really high.
It was 100% for a bit.
Yeah. I like the first one. I had a lot of fun.
Really?
We were laughing the whole time. We were just at every death. We were just cackling during that film. My favorite part is like the movie had such a low budget that they had to use their actual phones. So the actress who dies in the hot tub, you can see the actress's name on the back of the phone.
No.
Yeah.
By the way, with these, I think I would agree with you. I think you had the correct answer. See, I've actually never seen, I know this is sacrilege. I've actually never seen the original Terminators, so I'm not as impacted by them desecrating the memory of it with this new one. But
okay, you should watch Terminator 1 and 2, okay?
It's been on my
Terminator
list.
3 isn't as bad as people say, and an underrated one was they made a television show called Terminator: The Sarah Connor Chronicles. That was really good. It only got 2 seasons, but had Summer Glau in it, and Summer Glau is great.
What I was going to say, though, with Winnie the Pooh, yeah, I actually thought there was something, like the gore and stuff was kind of good in the original, but this new one, apparently, it was, did you ever see Summer of '84?
No.
Oh, you would love it. You have to put that, like, at the top of your list. You would love it. It's so good. But the writer of it did this Pooh sequel because he hated the first one and thought maybe I could do something good with it. And apparently he did. I think I'm going to see it tomorrow.
There you go.
I'm very much I didn't think I would be so looking forward to Winnie the Pooh 2.
Yep.
Yes, I know, y'all. The Terminators have been on my list for a long time.
The first two are classics. They really are.
I think if you really want to look at female characters or different types of characters in the woke era versus the pre-work era, look at the 2000s Charlie's Angels movies versus this one. Like in those original films, they were just characters. They were who they were.
Dare to have fun.
Yes, you wouldn't hear a word about women, and this it's just all about men and women, and men suck and women can do all these movies. The Star Wars sequels, the Charlie's Angels, all of them. It's like as you're watching it, you feel like there's just somebody who keeps tapping you on the shoulder, standing behind you, going, "Hey, women can do anything men can do." It's like, okay,
sad.
What else?
So sad. They had it so much better before. It was like they knew how to do it before and they lost it.
Ooh, Esteban has one. Catwoman, Green Lantern, or Ghost Rider. I've proudly seen none of them.
Ghost Rider is good. Green Lantern is just kind of as much hate as Green Lantern gets, it's just a very prototypical mid-2000s superhero film. I think it came out in 2011. Catwoman, so bad it's good. So who cares, right? Also, I think, if I remember correctly, Halle Berry won a Razzie for that movie and accepted it on stage. So based.
That was cool. Yeah. And I think it was like the day before she won an Oscar too.
Yeah, she won them in close succession.
Yeah. So. Hey, hi from Southern Oregon. Hey, Tim, new friend here. Glad to have you. Oh, this was like the epitome of this shit. Did you see the 2019?
I didn't see it. I know everybody hated it because it was like PG-13 horror.
Oh, that was the least of it. It was just all about like men suck and women and trans and
people.
I can't take anymore.
Their life must be so boring. It must be so sad.
I know.
To make movies about that.
We'd mentioned though we never got into the Diddy stuff.
Yeah.
How crazy is that? He's always kind of had a creeper vibe to me. Like
none of it shocks me.
No,
none of it shocks me. Look, I grew up. I'm a product of the. I was born in '86, so I grew up listening to rap music in the suburbs. So I grew up listening to Tupac and Biggie, and I listened to Diddy. I listened to all of the people from that record label back in the day, on top of a lot of other stuff. So to me, it's more like watching just another aspect of my childhood get taken down and destroyed. But yeah, I totally believe that all of it is 110% possible. But until all of it comes out, like there's just so much speculation and so much people talking about he knows this person, therefore they're all guilty of this and that. And I'm kind of over it in a way. It's like we talk about it, but when it all comes down to it, how much are we going to actually know? Right? Like, what are we going to actually see? It's going to be like, we still don't even know who the hell Jeffrey Epstein sold all the stuff, all the people to, right? We never will. So it's not going to matter.
That's why I think somebody had said earlier in the chat that, yeah, he's just sort of a small fish amongst all the people doing this. This is great though, Jacob. Did he do it though?
Yeah, go look up the cover of the documentary that 50 Cent is making called Did He Do It?
Oh, really?
Yep.
Wait, he's making a documentary about him?
Yep. He announced this documentary when the Rodney Jones lawsuit first was announced months ago. And now he's been talking about it on social media even more now. And it's interesting given like the amount of people, a lot of people are saying like, look, 50 Cent right now is going hard calling out Diddy. Why is nobody else doing that? Why isn't anyone else doing it? Well, it's because he ran with different people and he might not have blackmail on 50 Cent, so he can do that.
So 50 Cent is kind of setting himself up to be like what, the Corey Feldman and all this?
I guess, or like just he's gonna reveal the truth to everyone, I guess. But we'll wait and see. It's gonna be interesting. It's been all over the news the last couple of days.
Yeah, it's crazy. When things like this happen, I sort of see it as like he's got to be some kind of sacrificial lamb for the people above his pay grade.
Politicians and music executives and stuff like that.
Yeah. Kanye ain't
That's
looking
true.
nearly as crazy now.
That's true.
Like, well, it can be both, I think. Wait, there are accusations of Jay-Z having people deleted?
Yeah, I mean, there's also accusations that Diddy had people deleted as well. Like, that's what I'm saying. Like, all this stuff is so crazy, but we live in a world now where so much stuff gets said all the time. Like, unless I see a video of it happening and then them turning to the camera and be like, I just did this, I don't know what I can believe anymore. It's just,
well, and even then, it could be AI.
Yeah, it's the product of spending too much time online and too much time reading news that I'm kind of jaded about all of it.
Yeah, same. I think if we all just at least took maybe half the week each week off of social media, like everyone's lives would get exponentially better. Just
I think you're right.
Touch some grass. Deleting his mistresses. That probably happens way more frequently than anyone would think.
Yep.
So, Brett, is there anything? What is pop culturally? What is positive that's going? Is there anything?
Look, that's okay.
Pump everyone out here.
I've got a bit of a white pill for you guys.
Ooh.
So there's an actor who was in Fast and the Furious Tokyo Drift. He also did a show called NCIS New Orleans. His name is Lucas Black, and he left Hollywood. He left mainstream Hollywood because he said he's watched too many actors have their families torn apart by their schedules. And now he does a YouTube channel, and he's got this series of stuff that's called like Bring Masculinity Back, where he talks about teaching you how to do basic home repairs, how to change the oil on your car, he talks about deer hunting and stuff like this. And it's really wholesome.
Lucas Black?
Yeah, Lucas Black, Lucas Black. It's really wholesome. It's awesome.
Wow, bass tournament.
Yeah, he's just a regular dude. It's awesome. But if you go look at his YouTube shorts, he's changing oil, he's changing a flat tire and stuff like that, and it's all under the hashtag Bring Masculinity Back.
So I'm actually going to be doing that too. So I just moved to Florida, and when you live in New York City, you get used to doing nothing, basically, in terms of you don't drive, you don't do anything. So my friend who I'm living with, I'm getting my license. I've never driven before, so we're gonna
so it's your first time driving?
Yeah, this weekend. So we're gonna make a whole video series of him teaching me how to do these things, like how driving, changing a tire, welding.
Yeah, I mean, it's really funny. Like, I hadn't driven when I came out here and moved. My license had lapsed. I hadn't driven in 10 years because I lived in an area in Minnesota I just didn't need to drive. And my license had lapsed.
There are areas in Minnesota where you don't need to drive.
Well, I worked right by my house, and there were shops around there. I just didn't drive, and at that time I was so poor anyways. It was just cheaper for me to live without a car. But like when I got my license back, it was really, really funny. When I went and bought the car and I test drove it, right? And we pulled back into the dealership, I go, that was the first time I drove a car in 10 years.
Wow.
The guy looked mortified. It was hilarious.
Yeah, it's gonna be basically. So I drove one time like a minute into like my friend let me steer it into the but I feel like that kind of doesn't count.
You'll pick it up. You'll pick it up a lot easier than you think.
I'm excited. For me, it feels like it's so unfathomable to me. It feels like driving a spaceship or something.
Yep, it's good. You'll get the hang of it. I saw somebody asked a question like a movie that you're looking forward to. Do you got any movies you're looking forward to?
This is mine also, but I'm just thinking, I'm like, please don't suck. Please don't suck. Please don't suck. If they go the Hocus Pocus 2 route, I'm going to cry.
I'm looking forward to The Fall Guy with Ryan Gosling and Emily Blunt. I recommend going and watching the trailer for that. It's about a guy who plays a stunt performer who has to go find the actor he's the stunt performer for because he's been abducted, and it's ridiculous. It's like a romantic action comedy.
I have a few other than that. I really want to go see that. You guys are talking about Sydney Sweeney. I want to go see that horror movie, Immaculate. I've heard good things about it, surprisingly. Yeah. Winnie the Pooh 2. What else? Scream 7, obviously.
That'll be a ways out, though.
I know it's going to be terrible. But I'm kind of fascinated by its terribleness. The Wicked movie. Yeah.
I don't know if there's any other movies this year that I'm super looking forward to. Not really. Like that's I'm always happier when I get surprised.
Oh, I know one. Maxine.
Oh, yes.
X or Pearl.
Yeah.
Did you see those, Pearl?
No, I know what you're talking about, though. I was like, huh?
Oh, this one, too. This actually looks good. The First Omen. So there's an actress in it who actually show recommendation for you. I don't know if you're into, like, psychological thriller kind of things, but there was this most underrated show called Servant. And so the actress from it is in The First Omen.
Godzilla vs. King Kong. Yeah, a lot of people are looking forward to that as well. I love a big, dumb action, sci-fi. I got no problem with that. Furiosa, the CGI looks really bad in Furiosa. The CGI looks really awful in Furiosa.
Her face just bothers me. What that chick did to her face. Like, they need to stop getting their damn buccal fat removed.
Yeah, that's a weird one to me. Out of all the procedures to have done,
they just don't. She doesn't look human at this point. Oh my god! And this one, Ariana Grande, her face it's a trap. I just think there's something really sad about it. This girl is barely 30, and she's halfway to Michael Jackson at this point.
I think she's just being like, as somebody who's like completely neutral point, she just has the worst shade of blonde for her skin tone I've ever seen.
Yeah.
It's like a not even dirty blonde. It's like an orange blonde with tan skin, and it just doesn't work.
It's like she bleached her eyebrows too.
Yeah.
I am excited to see how that whole thing will blow up though, because she ran off with SpongeBob and took him away from the wife and the baby, and apparently they're like, and then she writes a song about it.
I think they broke up. I think somebody said they broke up already. They already broke up.
I hope that wife of his tells him to go fuck himself.
I think there's I know some people who are excited about the Garfield movie that's coming out.
What?
Yeah. Chris Pratt is playing Garfield.
Of course he is.
Yeah, of course. That's hey, I got no problem with Chris Pratt.
No, I like him, but oh yeah. How do we feel about Joker too?
Okay, so I was the one. So when they first announced that it was a musical, my perspective was going to be that the music will be played at moments of extreme violence in the film. So imagine that they're killing someone just as show tunes is playing, or they're doing some old school score. But from what I saw, there's going to be 15 songs in it, and I'm not a musical fan to begin with. And I saw somebody said the other day, said Joker is just Black Swan for men. I laughed really, really hard at that.
Well, but it's like men are, especially straight men, are not allowed to have anything. They're not allowed to have an enjoyment. Like Joker was sort of the one thing, and now it's like, oh,
we haven't had a movie for us since Falling Down in the 90s.
But you know what I mean? It's like now the sequel with Lady Gaga and show tunes. Yeah. Like they even had to make that super gay.
Yep. Yeah, that's the way it is. And the director of that, who got mad that he couldn't make comedies anymore, that was his whole thing, right? Todd Phillips is like, you're not really allowed. You're like handcuffed so heavily now when you're making comedies that it's just easier to make other types of films. I'm not super looking forward to Joker. We'll go see it, but
I'm looking forward to it. I just don't know how it's gonna go.
And I don't want to see Top Gun 3. Okay, Top Gun Maverick was perfect. It was exactly what it needed to be. It should have been the completion of the series. I've watched it 3 times. I tear up a little bit at the end every time. I don't cry, but oddly enough, when the Lady Gaga song is playing at the end, and he's flying off into the sunset with Jennifer Connelly, I'm like, bro, when was the last time the dude just got the girl and then flew off to a love ballad? When was the last time that happened?
That was a great song too. Like,
Yes.
see, I'm so split on Lady Gaga because like she makes some really good songs, but she's so full of shit. She's so full of shit. I can't. She's so full of shit. I can't take it.
They are making a third Top Gun, or at least they're like Tom Cruise has since read the script and said that they're developing it right now. I don't think they need to make it. Oh, also, Happy Gilmore 2, bad idea. I love Adam Sandler. Oh yeah, they're making Happy Gilmore 2 exclusively for Netflix. Don't do it. Just leave it alone.
These people don't understand that certain things were so great because they are a product of their time. They exist in a certain time period. You can't take Happy Gilmore out of the 90s. Yep. You couldn't take Sex and the City out of the 90s and the 2000s. Like, all of these things, it just doesn't work.
It's really funny because Adam Sandler was the highest paid actor in the world last year. And everyone's like, what movies did he even make? It's just because he's got this insane deal with Netflix to just make movies for them.
Ramiro said, Brett cried to a Lady Gaga song. Pass it on.
I cried to the visuals, not to the song necessarily. The song just happened to coincide with what I saw. If all they had played there was the score, I probably still would have teared up.
It's okay. This is a safe space. It's our secret. Oh yes.
Plus, I've talked about this. I've said this on the show. I've mentioned it on the show.
Tim, that's right. Are you a Halloween guy, Brett?
Yeah, I don't have any interest in seeing it. I don't want to hear about Michael Myers' therapy sessions.
Same, like the Rob Zombie ones.
No, I don't care.
Did you see the recent trilogy?
No, I didn't. I watched the Rob Zombie ones. I didn't watch the recent ones.
I'm actually in the minority here. So Halloween Ends, they actually went a very different direction, and it felt like this kind of, well, parts of it felt like this kind of indie film. I actually loved it, but I'm apparently alone in that.
I saw somebody says, imagine a Buffy remake. They actually had developed a Black Buffy remake years ago, and oddly enough, like the progressive writers were like, why would they do this? Why would they do this to Buffy? I'm like, now you know how everybody who loved TV in the 80s has felt for the last 10 years.
Oh, did you see? So I'm sure back in the day you saw Don't Tell Mom the Babysitter's Dead.
Yep, I saw that there. Yeah, I saw
just came out. So all I saw was the tweet, and they're like, the new remake of it, they came out the trailer, it'll be about the racial differences between the kids and the babysitter. I'm like, and maybe this is one white pill that we could take away, is that every comment is negative about it.
How can, like, who writes that and thinks that it's actually going to be interesting to audiences?
Are so over it. I just imagine Tropic Thunder.
Oh, the great thing about that movie is that all of the actors are unapologetic about it and say that they would love to make a new one if they were allowed to. Ben Stiller says so. Robert Downey Jr. says so. All the actors that are involved in that movie have no apologies for it.
I love that. That's gonna be one of the few instances, because so many people, I mean, Friends, they come out, the creator, and have to come out and apologize. We're so sorry. They were white. They were white people.
Who made Friends. It's like the people who made Friends. Oh my God, it was all straight white people. Like, who cares?
And so is that's most people.
Yeah. I was like, it was so not diverse for the 90s, for the 90s in New York City. I'm like, bro, nobody cares. Shut up.
No. Well, I don't want to keep you all night, so if anybody has some final super chats, send them in as we wrap up. Do it. Help me be a better grifter. Join the channel, join the squad, join my locals. What have you guys got coming up on Pop Culture Crisis? Okay, so this week, it's just show Monday through Friday. We've got comic creator Shane Davis on Friday. It's going to be a lot of fun. He's been on before, and he's always he's an entertaining guy, so we're going to have a lot of fun with that. We got other big things coming down the pipeline that we try to play it close to the vest on a lot of that stuff in case people cancel and things like that. You know how it is. But how would you know? You know by tuning in live and checking out the show. That's what you should do. You guys tune in live. Like, what have you got to do that's better at 3 p.m.? Stupid. Call in sick. Come watch the show. Yeah, or at least, we have AirPods. You can, conceal them very nicely. Wear a Timcast beanie. We would have loved back in the day having wireless headphones that I could have hidden with my hair or stuff, or like a beanie over it and stuff like that. It's so easy these days. Why the hell is Tim not selling beanies? That's what he should be selling.
Because he says that because he has such high standards for the beanies that he likes that none of them, he can't find any that are mass produced that are up to his standards.
Dude, it is. I was so upset. So when I was on there, it was like 2 days after I moved and all my stuff was, but I so badly wanted to bring a beanie with me. And
should have brought a beanie.
I didn't get the chance to. Leah says, you need to have this guy on again, Mike. He's so cool. I love all the stuff he's been discussing tonight. His delivery is super pro. He is great. So you got to check out his show.
Watch the check our show out, but also check it out because on that show, I'm actually much worse because I'm doing 9 things at once. But Mary is a pro. Okay, Mary is a pro, and I think you guys will have a lot of fun hearing her opinions on things. She is what they call based.
Popcorn says Brett is very underrated. See, you've got the two of us. He's underrated and I'm overrated. So
I should put that on a shirt. Brett is underrated. I'm gonna put that on a shirt.
Just screen cap this. Thank you so much for the super chat, Earth Bull. I'll get you into Charmed. It's so good.
I'll have to check it out. It's like anything old I'm into, right? Like any show that's old, I'm willing to give it a chance.
It seems witchy and stuff. So I just watched Practical Magic for the first time. It was a little wine momish for me, but I like the witchy stuff, and this seems kind of witchy. So I am down.
Everything's for wine moms these days.
It's true. It's true. And not even in the good way like we used to have it. Well, Brett, thank you so much for being here. This was so amazing. I've been so looking forward to this. This was great.
No, thank you for having me on. Thank you, everyone watching, for tuning in. This has been a lot of fun. Thank you.
You are great. So anyway, you guys, I'm getting on regular schedule with this shit. So I'll be back next week with a new show. Brett, everybody, his links are below. Follow him, subscribe, do all the stuff. 3 p.m. Watch his show. And I will see you guys next week.
Bye, guys.